Our first agenda item.
Just heads up, we're live on YouTube, just so you know.
You have your mics turned on and pulled towards you.
Hello.
Can you hear me? You want me to do it again? Okay, we are gonna call the budget presentation meeting for Wednesday, February 11th, 2026 to order. The first action item on our agenda is the consideration of a resolution to amend a previously adopted resolution regarding the reallocation of funds previously committed for fireworks and the composition of an ad hoc downtown seasonal decorations committee. So we had voted to have this committee and to have 5 members, including a member of town council. This resolution would allow 5 members with a member of town council on it. Yes, so do I have
I move to accept the revised resolution.
do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Resolution carries. The second kind of item on our agenda is that of departmental presentations. Looks like we have the police up first, or did you want to change that?
I think it's street sanitation.
Okay, street and sanitation?
Yep. Yeah, I think it's street.
Okay, I'm going to turn
Police
it,
is listed,
Oh.
we'll go in any order y'all want to go. We're prepared to go with police first. It will take us a minute to adjust it up.
It's
whoever
police.
would like to go first.
Go ahead.
I am just going by
Yeah.
what is listed.
Well, I'm going to real shortly kind of do a brief overview of a couple things. So back here, we have some giant Post-it notes. If y'all have any ideas, any questions, anything you want to make a note of, just feel free to get up, go back there, write it on the wall so we can take it and record it moving forward. Couple of things, I think, just some information on the projects we currently got going on. Of course, most of y'all know we have the wastewater treatment plant going on. It's scheduled to finish December 31st, 2026. So we have completed all the skip funding in it. We're waiting on the earmark funding to start. And then we have already spent one of the $1.5 million earmark that we got. We have roughly about $20 million in projects that we have to do that's done with either federal money or state money combined. So that's moving forward. We particularly got $10 million in one grant for that, $1.5 million earmark, and then Anderson and Clemson had to pay us $600,000. We also have the EPA STAG grant. That's a fancy way of saying federal earmark from Senator Graham's office. That will be a minimum of a $6.3 million project moving forward. We're just very bogged down with the EPA trying to get through their environmental clearance on it to approve our project. And we met on it yesterday, and you know, they keep asking us a whole bunch of questions. But those partners, of course, are the EPA, Appalachian Council of Governments, Department of Environmental Services, Clemson and Anderson with us. We did include our match in the 2024 bond. And I say that because, you know, we're going into the budget, so we're going to be talking about the bonds we have out, the financing we have out, and what they're going to, and a whole bunch of other things. Central Road Pump Station, we got a call from CAT. They have moved our generator up on the manufacturing list, so we will probably have our generator by the end of the month. That was originally essentially a 50-50 grant / us paying it through our water and sewer bond that we released in 2024. We did get $400,000 more in grants from the state, so that has lowered that project significantly, which is why we were able to add the generator. We will have a total of about $900,000 in grants on that project. We'll be able to take our $400,000, move it to Village Hills Water and Sewer, which will impact it. You know, all these things have a trickle down effect on how your funding works through your budget. So the Winston Street's 90% complete. We had gotten a $750,000 grant for CDBG, and we paid the match out of our fund balance. Bruce parking lot, we're starting. Everybody needs to be patient with us. We're we're working on a more detailed construction schedule for the parking lot in particular, so that we can start telling people exactly when it's going to be closed. But it will be closed for probably a couple months because we have to dig out all the sewer, level it, and then actually putting the concrete back will go faster. And then we're trying to work with the contractor to figure out, is there any way we can open up parts of it, even if it's gravelled, to allow for some parking in there. But we are working in the alleyway behind there. We've been meeting with Main Exchange and Swamp Fox. And we have some of the water line in, the hydrant set, and we have probably 30% of the sewer line in there. So, you know, and once we get out of the alleyway, we'll be fine. But Duke came and reset one of the poles, but now we have a problem with our retaining wall that we have braced up.
So Steve, I'm new to this budget process. So I came in prepared to talk about sanitation and police. And so these are capital items. And so this is an additional thing we're
This is
considering
just
today.
No, these are just broad overviews.
So it's really hard to get a lot of these numbers not in writing and for me to understand. So now I've raised another issue. I have some significant questions about that retaining wall and its height and what we need to do with it. I'm not clear what this, for the whole budget process, like why we're doing this now. You just need to explain to me, why are we doing this now and why don't I have it in writing and what are we going to do?
So we can give it to you in writing. Does
this has income
So
in?
this is just general knowledge as we go through here, because you're going to be talking about the budget for the next 4 weeks at a minimum.
But are we going to have a session to talk just about these capital projects in one session?
So these are your ongoing. These are already
And you report on them every month?
And we report on them every month, but they have some impact into what you're getting ready to do these next 4 weeks.
But are they going to have impact on what Jay and David are going to talk about today?
Yep.
And I need them to articulate what that impact is when that impact comes up, because I can't keep all these things
Yeah.
you've just given me in my head and focus on David and Jay at the same time. That's
Right.
just me. I'm
No,
sorry.
That's
just because I'm new to this.
I get it, and I understand it, because we're going to go from this, and we're going to talk about what you see on the screen that just went dark, because this is how you actually develop your budget.
Well, I just finished that class. I mean,
Yeah. So
they didn't talk about doing it in this class.
the Village and Hills Water and Sewer, it's out to bid. We're 1.6 million is under the 2.1 million estimate. We're going to be moving in this budget, or in a budget amendment to capital project, 400,000 for Central Road into it. We've got the Seymour out, Calhoun and Queen Street and the Greenway down there. Those are going to benefit by us moving this money as we write these new capital project ordinances in this new budget. So that's going to move up some of your streets and some of your other things that get moved in there. Your branding campaign, of course, is going on, and you have a water and sewer system study. That's a $225,000 grant from our RIA going on right now. But when we talk, yes, ma'am, don't get too hung up on these, because we're going to be talking about these.
The Brandon study is not affected by any of this really, because that money was appropriated in the previous budget, right?
It was. So we have to track all that and carry it forward.
No, I know, I'm just saying. Another thing is, Bruce parking lot is next to the Buddy Durham.
Yes.
So whatever work we're doing on Bruce, is it going to impact anything with Buddy Durham that we can get done instead of coming back a year later saying, oh, we gotta do this in Durham?
I doubt it, because we're probably going to have to bring in an engineer on that wall. So we're going to have to talk about that probably in the street budget or building and grounds budget at some point. But what does the budget actually look like outside of what y'all adopt? This is your pro forma for the town. So this is your actual budget for the town. And it has multiple pages, and don't worry, because we're all going to get to play in it before it's said done. So don't get hung up on what's up here, because we haven't finished updating it. We do have our new funds added into it, which shows up there in municipal facilities and special revenue funds. But what does this thing do? So people ask, well, how do we come up with these numbers? Well, we track the numbers. So this is all your tax, this is all your special revenue funds, this is all your water and sewer funds. It tracks, we help it add in some cost escalation and stuff to it to help it predict the numbers. This is probably what's most important as we talk about this, and this is why I wanted to go over
It's in our
this.
packet. I can't read
No,
this.
you can't get this. So this is a huge program that what happens is we
So
will,
I want to know how much revenue we get from property taxes,
we'll go through that.
hospitality tax, in a nice, neat.
Yeah, we'll go through that. So that will be in your budget. But what this is for is this is all the capital projects or projects that come out of this. We put in this sheet right here and you can turn it on and off, and in real time, you can watch what it does to the budget. So at the end, when y'all write stuff on here and y'all do some other stuff, we'll be able to come in here. We'll try to get as much uploaded as we can. We can sit here and turn it on with a number. There it goes. It'll turn on like that with a number, and it'll be forecasted out in the future years so that it will actually show what it does to your budget.
Can you isolate, like Nancy is wanting to know, what we want, Nancy?
Hospitality tax,
Yeah.
property tax.
Can you isolate certain portions and send to us?
Yeah, we can,
Okay.
we can do that. So here's all your revenues for general fund. This is your actuals that we're uploading out of the audit, and it just starts projecting them forward. Same thing with your expenses. These are just your other funds that get loaded up in here.
What's our total? So this, right up to the income. So the income is property taxes. And we are limited our debt is limited without revenue to 8% of that.
8% of your valuation, not the property
Valuation.
tax.
So do you have that valuation number?
We have that valuation number. It doesn't get plugged in here,
But that's a number we need to be aware of.
but it's about, I think it's about 2.7 million, and you've got about 1.6 of that out right now.
Okay, so we've read those down. So remember them. That'd be a good number to have. And then the hospitality fees, hospitality taxes
Right here.
is 43,000.
It's 480,000 is what it's currently projecting, but it was 454 in the audit. Yes.
So
Yeah.
$4.5 million in hospitality taxes.
$400,000.
400,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And what is that percentage? That's growth.
That's your growth percentage that you had going it. Yep.
Year over year, not total.
Yep.
And you're projecting it's only about 1.3, even though it's been very high.
It's been very high. We haven't gone in here yet, Nancy, to look at these projections, but we'll change these projections based on some other stuff that we see back here. And then, yes, ma'am.
With hospitality taxes, that comes from what?
Hospitality comes from prepared food and beverage that's consumed on site or readily available to be
But it
consumed.
doesn't come from, bed and breakfast, hotels, or anything like that.
Yes, it can, if it's consumed on site. So,
If it's,
Yeah.
I think it's if they have someone outside coming in to eat.
Yeah.
Not staying
Not
there.
stays.
So if they had a restaurant along with the bed and breakfast.
Okay. Okay.
this is your peer chart. So we can actually, when this gets updated, we can actually compare ourselves. These are the other people that are in South Carolina that use this same system to budget. So
Not necessarily are comparables in terms of demographics or population, they're comparables in terms of people that use our same software.
the same software, yep. So you just kind of have to look at it and kind of know the size they are, and you can just start making some intelligent comparisons. And then these are your selected peers. So as people start using this same thing, we can add them in there. This is your debt service, Nancy, you were talking about. We can predict all the debt service. This is all of our existing debt service loaded in there, and we update that. We update the amortization schedule. So when we talk about doing the budget, what y'all talk about today, we take all of this back. This is the main thing that take out of this. We take all this back. It gets fed into this. And we use this along with that CIP tab to help formulate the impacts of the budget based on certain decisions. And then what we have done in the past is we have sat down with each of y'all individually and let y'all turn on and turn off these tabs so you can physically see what happens. So that's why it's important. Put your comments up here. I think we're going to try to send some surveys out after this stuff, get comments back on particular departments. We have to try to take all that stuff and assign numbers to them to get into the budget. But it's all here. So we just wanted y'all to see that because many of y'all haven't even seen this or knew this is actually how we start preparing the budget. So
we're not doing the individual like we've been doing.
We're going to try to, yeah. Just it's a good exercise for y'all to see, personally, what the budget does. But with that, I think we're going to turn it over to David, and he's actually going to start talking about the police department. So.
Thanks, Steve.
And if council has specific questions, send me an email and I will get those on the agenda for next week. That way we can make sure that all the questions are addressed and that council has the materials requested. So let me know, I'm more than happy to do that.
All right, Mrs. Mayor, Council, good evening, everybody, or good morning. I'm used to saying good evening. Appreciate you giving us the opportunity to present this to you. My goal today is kind of introduce you to some of the things that we've currently got going on in our police department budget, and then some of our goals and objectives for next year, dealing with law enforcement in the town of Pendleton. So our agenda that we want to go over today is going to be our departmental overview, basically telling you what we do, how we do it, how many of us are there to do it. Do a quick 2025 in review, state some of our objectives, actually introduce you to our budget. Going to show you our current budget that we're on right now, that we're operating on, and then a budget that we're proposing to go to for the future of 2026. We'll also talk a little bit about some constraints that we have in the police department, a future 2026 and beyond, and then at the last part, any questions you guys may have. So if you have any questions during any of this, please just let me know and ask away. Okay. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is our overview for the police department. The police officers are responsible for handling all law enforcement duties as well as ancillary duties within the town as assigned. So those responsibilities include both proactive and reactive calls. So like if somebody dials 911 and needs law enforcement services, we respond to that. Anything like an accident where you have to direct traffic, those are all responsibilities that law enforcement handles. The ancillary things that we do is like directing traffic during special events, administrative support where we have to do things like moving vehicles or anything that doesn't really involve an active crime or active law enforcement, and then community relations. One thing that we really want to try and work on this year and really bolster is our community enhancement, our community events. So that's one thing that's important to the police department that we really want to try and work on this year. Going into 2027, we actually have 10 sworn officers. Actually, that number is down to 9 now. We had one officer who put in his notice and has resigned from the town. So we will be working on, where we go from there. But we have a very diverse team of officers. We have a Spanish-speaking officer. We have a very well-rounded department. I think we have a lot of, self-motivated individuals. We've got a lot of instructors. I know that Chief Crosby's doing a really good job of sending people to training so that they can come back and extend that knowledge that they learn onto the people that work with them. Training is a real big thing for the department because the more training you do, the better officer it makes you. And it's just something that we really pay a lot of attention to. Having a Spanish-speaking officer has already paid off well. Even though she's on light duty right now, if we have an issue, they can call in to her. She can go on the telephone and she can kind of translate for us on any kind of situations. There is a service that is provided by the state for that, but it costs. It's very expensive. So having her on board is a real asset to the department. We currently have 12 cars in the patrol, or 12 patrol cars and 1 Kawasaki Mule. Our oldest 2 cars are our spare cars, and they're both, one's a 2016 and a 2017. And I think you've all seen the Kawasaki Mule. That's a great tool that we use for events. You'll see it out for things that we need to do off-road or anything like we do on the square for the special events. So I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
I just wondered, are the 10 officers all full-time?
They are. Yes, sir. And that includes me. So let's do a little 2025 in review. Throughout the year, we had 14 violent crimes committed in Pendleton. And these are your above average violent crimes. We had 6 sexual assaults. We had 5 aggravated assaults. We had 2 shootings and 1 stabbing. Unfortunately, we also had 1 homicide in 2025 that everybody was aware of. So you can see that, you know, even though we do a really good job of handling things, we're really proactive. Crime is crime, and it happens anywhere. So this is what happened in 2025. We had the 14 violent crimes. During that time, we also, it was kind of interesting, we answered 105 domestic calls. And that's not saying that when we got there, that was an actual domestic assault, but it was a report that there was a domestic action going on. 105 of those were reported through 2025. We also responded to 135 animal complaint calls, which is astonishing. These animal complaints are really gaining, they're coming from all over the place. The problem again with animal control is we're kind of in a catch-22 because with the way PAWS is operating, we really don't have an opportunity to take these animals and really get them what they need. If you take care of them and you bring them into you, it's hard to put them where they need to go because you have nobody that can accept them. So that's one challenge that we're still facing that I know we speak of a lot. So that's 2025 in review for violent crimes on that.
I'm sorry to keep interrupting.
No, you're fine.
Going back to that, are those totals included calls to the sheriff? Or are those just included calls to the Pendleton police force?
This is just, and that's a good question. I'll get to that in the flip, but this is what happened in the town. So this is both. This is both either the sheriff's office responded or we responded or both. So these are actual calls that were
For everything.
Yeah, for everything. Yep, it's a good question. So again, continuing with the 2025 in review, again, the shot with a cop, that is one of the biggest events that we have. I know that the police department really does a lot of work on that. It's something that's really true and dear to their heart because we really enjoy it. Like I've said before, all it takes is one trip to Walmart to watch these kids be able to pick out what they want, go to the register, not have to worry about that. You know, that is something that it's a tool that we have to create relationships, but also to bring a little bit of joy and laughter to these kids. You know, none of this could be made possible without the support we get from our community and from our donors and from the businesses in town. So that was a great event that we had. And I think we raised, I want to say it was around $9,000, but I know it was more than $8,000. And that's just with people volunteering and donating their money. So we really appreciate that. Other things that we did was we also attended a career day at the elementary school. I know Chief Crosby and Gabe went over there and they set up a table and had all the neat little things for the kids to look at. They also participated in the walk or the hike to school. This is where the elementary school meets at the doghouse here, and they walk back to the elementary school, and we help them with traffic and just kind of join with them and go through and make sure that everybody's safe. And then other community events. So we did the splash of summer, or the last splash of summer last year. I know me, Lindsay, and Amber sat around. We handed out icicles and lollipops, and those things are really great. It's just a fun time where you can get in there where the community can interact with you when it's not their worst day of the year, and it's actually something that's fun and it makes them smile, and it actually brings smile laughter to us. Some of the other community events we do, like I know right now we're doing the bringing a loved one to breakfast at the school, which has been really cool. We're doing it all this week and all next week. And then yesterday we had a really cool little kid that was in kindergarten, and we had to play these little games. They had these Uno cards, and they had to add up the numbers and find out what the numbers were, and they had to tell us. So it was neat to watch this little kid in fifth, K5, counting on his fingers, what the numbers were. And then he asked me, he says, well, you do one. So I did one, and I counted on my fingers and made sure I had the right numbers. So it was a lot of fun, and the kids really enjoy it. So, and then we did a Pendleton Elks Lodge, a drug take-back event. This is where, they set up these little boxes, and you can bring medication that you're no longer using or is expired and get rid of it, because you don't want to just put that inside of the drains or flushing it down the toilet. So again, in 2025, the police department hired some new officers. We hired Wakiria Miranda. She's our Spanish-speaking officer. She's been really instrumental with the department. Timothy Thome, who you'll hear be called Blake, that's what he goes by. He's actually in the academy right now. Cody Andrews, Steve Reeves, and Jordan Wallace were all hired. One of these guys actually replaced Austin Morano, who retired last year. So we're really, back up to that 9 space or 10 officers where you guys approved that last year in last year's budget. They also purchased 3 new police vehicles for the officers that were hired last year. And all of those were brand new vehicles. And again, I told you all of our active vehicles that are actively in the fleet are at least a 2022 or newer. So one other thing that the department did became NCIC compliant along with mobile integration. That means that you can use NCIC. NCIC is your National Crime Information Center. That is, if anybody has got any information, like if you get a warrant taken out on you, they can enter that into this system, and we're able to go into that system if we interact with you and tell if you've got a warrant. Yes, ma'am.
For the NCIS review, if somebody in Pendleton Rec wants to be a coach for the kids, do we run them through there to make sure they're not a bad person?
Yeah, so we can do background checks for employment and stuff like that. So
But
that
you
is
could
an
also do it
option.
for PRA for the coaches.
I believe they do it for. I believe they.
I know they do it, I don't know if the police department does it, if they pay us for the service.
Yeah,
But they might not have to pay for the service if we're already paying for it here.
I don't know what
So I'm not
organization
sure.
or
Typically, we can
ICS.
do it for employment, but I don't know if that actually considers as an employment because of the relationship with the town. But that is something we can definitely look at.
Even like for us, when we do a background check for an employee, most of the time, I don't use the NCIC, I just do a SLED background check. And unless they've just moved here, then I have Robbie do that, so, because it's more of a national.
Yeah.
But if they're from around here, I just do the SLED check, it's $25.
We do that for PRA as well?
We don't,
But the PRA has it done.
yeah.
Yes.
I thought
There
they-
is I think there is a waiver of the fee for a nonprofit.
Okay, sorry.
No, those are good questions. The important thing about the NCIC is, again, if we're on a traffic stop and somebody has a warrant on them, they usually will associate with the tag or something like that. So a lot of times we know before we get out of the vehicle that, hey, the person that owns this car, it has a warrant on them out of wherever, and if it's a very violent warrant, it's very good information to have up front. It also gives us the ability to put information in so that, if it goes to a different state or something. So it's just a way to get the information, collect the information, and have it readily accessible. Now, the important thing of this is being able to utilize this as a mobile integration in our vehicles. Is now we have this NCIC capability in our vehicles so that we can actually have real-time data right there in front of us. So the other thing it does, it also keeps traffic off of the radio. When you're talking to dispatchers on the radio, you don't have to sit there and tell a guy's name or the lady's name and date of birth and social security number, what they're wearing. It doesn't take up that much time on the air. So it's really a tool that if somebody needs airtime in another city or whoever we're sharing the dispatch with, we're not hogging up all the airtime. So it's really an important thing. It's really worked out well for the department. We've completed, our officers have completed over 500 hours of departmental training. Now that training, there's 360 hours of in-service training. So the academy requires at least 40 hours of in-service training to maintain your certification. So you can see that we've done 360 hours of in-service, over 115 hours of specialized training. Some of those specialized training that we've been to is a specific skills instructor. And basically that allows an officer to teach a class that already has like a lesson plan established. We've done basic detectives, patrol crime scene investigations, advanced DUI, field training officer manager, and field training officer and training manager, which allows Joel to be able to actually be a manager of our training so he can report everything that everybody does and have that one point of contact. And then there's a lot of officers that have been through the mid-level management training. There's just really good training to kind of help them, bolster their career in law enforcement. We've also done an in-house crime scene processing. So we have the capabilities of processing the, crime scenes if we actually have to have one. Now, there's a lot of things we still need to get to bolster that as far as property and, tools and evidence. And, there's a lot of things that we need to put together, and we're working on that. But now having in-house capabilities to be able to do that shortens up time, and it really gives us, maybe this is something we don't need to bother the county on, or this is something that we can handle on ourselves. And then we have 2 drone pilots. So those drones have really worked out well, especially when you need to inspect the top of the doghouse, or, if you have somebody that runs from you, or if you have somebody missing, you can use these drones. And they're really a very valuable tool to the police department.
Do they include the heat seek?
They do. Yes, ma'am. Well, we have one that does, and then one that's just a regular one. So what are our objectives for 2026, 2027? So our first objective is our 24/7, 24-hour day, 7-day a week response and coverage. And the reason why we're bringing that up is because we understand that, or we feel that this response and this coverage meets the town council's strategic planning goal by addressing personnel needs to provide an increase in community engagement and strengthen core services. We get it all the time. I know you guys get it as well. You know, how come I called and Pendleton didn't show up, or how come, you know, we needed something and nobody showed up, or the county showed up. Those are just things that I know you guys have gotten. We've all gotten it. I know there was a survey done in 2016 where the community wants 24-hour a day coverage for the police department. And I just wanted to give you that information. So we really feel that going and moving to that direction, it meets the strategic planning goals that was set by council. And it's something that we would like to strive towards. And we've actually called it out as an objective for next year. And on top of that, the quality hiring. We understand that, you know, you can hire somebody to come in and sit in the car, but that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for somebody that can come in and truly fit into the town of Pendleton. It's easy to get somebody to just have a body and have them in a uniform and sit them out and tell them to do something. But what we want is we want to foster that community relationships and really have somebody that's bought into our train of thought and our mentality of what we want to see in the town and how you should be treating our residents and how our residents should interact with you. So that is something that we're really going to spend time on. That is something that's really, really important to us. So quality hiring. The problem with hiring is, you know, 10 years ago, you'd have one position available on a police department. You'd have 400 applications. Well, now you have 400 openings and you get one applicant. So it's a different world, but there's still good people out there. There's a lot of people that want to do this job. And there's a lot of people that we can find that are really, really understand what community policing and community problem solving is.
So when you talk about we have 10 full-time, you said it includes you?
Yes, sir.
So to get to 24/7, how many more hires would that require?
So I have a whole slide on that, but it's 3. So
Okay.
if we could go 3 more officers, that would give us the 24-hour day, 7-day a week coverage.
And
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
gonna respectfully ask that council jots down questions and waits till the end, just because David seems to get in this flow and then we're interrupting him. So if you wouldn't mind just waiting till the end.
Whatever works best.
I would appreciate that.
Okay, great. So then, again, updating our report management system. So we all utilize our report management system, our RMS system, which is a database that we can use. We can use law tracks. And that is basically if you have to put in a report, if we do an action report or any information that we have involving a crime, we use this system and it utilizes all of our reports. Well, the system that we currently have has been sold out and they're going out of business. So everybody, it's not just us, everybody in Anderson County is having to switch to a different RMS system. We cannot operate without an RMS system. So we're working through, you know, where does it look like we're going? Where's the county going? You know, the goal is to try and get everybody on the same page so that when one of our officers make a report, and let's say we make an arrest and they put them in this computer, well, it's already linked to the sheriff's office so that when they get to the jail, that information is already in the computer. You know, so they're using AI generation to get that information from us to the jail so they don't have to duplicate services or duplicate input on the information. So it's really a tool that is going to be very valuable. Now, the problem with RMS systems is they're very, very proud of them, and they're very expensive. Some of them are. So most of the people in the county and the Anderson County is going to the Motorola system, which is just a system that Motorola built. And that is what everybody's trying to go to. So we're trying to figure out what that cost is. So we've been to some training, we've been to some seminars to see what other options are available, because like I said, this is not a cheap tool that we have to have. And then again, the fully integrated technology to strengthen our current fleet of patrol cars to include the Axon cameras into all patrol cars. So these cameras, and I'll show you, I've got an example. These are really set for safety, de-escalation, and risk mitigation. So these cameras give us the ability to actually watch the person. If you put somebody in the back of the car, that you can actually film them. I've actually seen where they've successfully prosecuted somebody because while they were in the back of the car, they took something out of their pocket and got rid of it, some dope or something, but it was all on camera. So having that capability really, you know, enhances our ability to affect crime, and it helps us. It also covers us. So if something happens, we can, you know, if somebody makes a claim in the car, then we've got this on tape that is showing, hey, this was, you know, obviously a made up claim. So that is one of our objectives. So that's something that's important to all of us. So as Mr. Jeff was asking earlier, what is our current budget right now for 2025? And I'm gonna pass this out to you. This is our current budget. You'll just take one, Mr. Jeff, and pass it down. This is the actual current budget that we're working on. Our operating budget is $1,162,176.42. Now, where that number comes from, if you look on that page, I've actually broken it down to you that says, you know, what does it cost for us to have a cell phone for every officer? What does it cost for us to have a computer for every officer? What does it cost in insurance? What does it cost in uniforms? So you see, we've got that number broke down. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So that number is broken down, and it's right there. So that you can see how those totals come up, because some of those numbers are large. You'll see our contract services is a large number, and we'll get in there and explain to you later. But our current operating budget is that number, and then that's what was approved by council last year. Now, that also included a one-time capital purchase of $200,296.58. That is the purchase of 3 cars that was purchased last year for the new people, and also including the outfitting and all of that. Now, the thing I really want to stress to you on the capital purchase is that is a cost that we have to capture in the original budget. But once it's captured there, then Steve works his magic, and he's able to find, you know, either a bond or there's you do a consumption loan that where it really, you know, includes the public works, and you buy all these vehicles at one time. And then once that's done, that debt is actually carried to a non-departmental debt line. So it doesn't really affect us after that initial cost. So our operating budget is what it costs to have the officers on the street every day after you get past that original capital purchase. So again, you guys have approved the $1,362,473, which included the purchase of those vehicles. So now I'm gonna pass out my proposed 2026-2027. If you'd be so kind again, sir, just to pass one off. Again, this is set up the exact same way. It shows you what that number is and how we come to that number. And again, it just adds right there. So our proposed budget for 2026-2027.
I'm sorry.
So again, we are proposing going to a 24-hour day, 7-day-a-week police coverage for the town of Pendleton. That operating budget would be $1,509,358.48. Now that operating budget does include, like we did last year, a one-time capital purchase of $232,992. So again, that's the vehicles and everything it costs to include that vehicle, for a total cost of $1,742,350. Again, once we make that capital purchase, we really operate out of the operating budget. So you're like, wow, that's some big numbers. How do we get to those numbers, and where do those numbers come from? So again, what does it take to get to a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week coverage? The way we've got it in this budget, the way it's figured out, it's an additional operating investment of $347,182.06. And again, that's the operational budget increase that we would need to go to a 24-hour day, 7-day-a-week coverage after we do the capital purchase. So again, that's, like I said, there's some really big numbers. So where do all those numbers go, and how do we come up with those? So what does it cost for a full-time employee? This is actually one of our advertisements that we have out there, and it's kind of hard to see, but you can see what our salary ranges are. For uncertified officers, our salary range is $45,000 to $50,000. For a certified police officer, it's $50,000 to $60,000. And then for corporal, it's from $56,000 to $66,000, if I'm seeing that right from here. So those are the ranges that were set by our comp class that was done last year. So those are good numbers, and that range gives us a little bit of flexibility. If you have, if you have a degree, or if you have a special something we're looking for, or like if you're speak a foreign language, it gives us a little bit of leeway to play in those numbers. But that's real numbers. That's what we're paying officers when they come into the town. The other thing we talk about is uniforms. It really costs. It costs a lot of money to put somebody in uniform the very first time, because you're buying everything new. Now, once you buy that the first time, all you're really doing now is maintaining it. So you're not buying 4 pair of shirts, 4 pair of pants, all that good stuff. So like a vest that we issue to the officers is $1,800. The badge is $125. That radio that we carry is $3,300. Every radio we have, just that's on your side. These tasers right here. Now there is no battery in this, and there is no cartridges in this. But that's $800. I mean, but now we do those on a contract, so we're able to stretch that out. But these are tools that we utilize every day that is something that is important and is really, really interactive and helps us out. But there's a cost, there's a real cost to that. Duty belts, you know, to have a holster and have ammunition, all that stuff, $800, $150 for boots, $700 for uniforms. So you can kind of see how it adds up. And then the average cost per officer is $7,838 per officer. So now we got to put them in a car. So what does it cost to get them in a car? Well, a car is $51,031. That's what we paid for it last year. Upfitting costs, where you got to put the lights in it, the radios, the push bumpers, all the special things that make it a police car is $21,000. The graphics are $800. The car radios for these inside these cars are $4,000 a piece. It's unbelievable. But it costs us $77,000 to put a car on the road. So these numbers add up pretty quick. And then our contract services is another department that we really have a pretty large number, but it is something that we utilize every day. So Axon is really they've got the gambit on the body cameras and the tasers and stuff like that. So we have in-car cameras, as we talked about earlier. We also have these. These are our body cameras. We issue them to every officer. And these are very valuable tools because they document everything that goes on. Again, we use those for mitigation, for liability purposes. They're really just a good tool to have, and we have those for every officer. Now, for that camera, for 12 units, those cameras are $2,133 a year. So for 12 of them, that's $25,000 a year we have to spend in that.
We need 13 of them.
Well, that'd be 12 for right now. So then the cameras are $3,200 for inside the vehicle. But again, these are really tools that we utilize, and it really helps protect the officer as well as the town. LawTrax is that RMS system I was telling you about. That's the report management system. That's $3,000 a year, and it's done by a subscription. The All Traffic Solutions, which is the speed sign and that thing, so we pay $2,500 a year for that. Gold Shield is that NCIC and CAD for the inside the vehicles I was telling you about earlier. That's $5,040 a year. And then Power DMS, which is our policy management system, that's $4,000 a year. So you can see how, that's a big number in the budget, but you can see where it's going and the benefits that it's really paying towards the department and the town. So that's our contract services. So special event overtime. So overtime is a big line item in the police department. These are all things that we spend time on that we enjoy doing. They're fun, but there is a cost to that, and there's a cost to the department. So, the PRA basketball, it's been a good thing. It's been fun, working those things. It's great to see those kids that are having fun, but it costs us about $560 every week to do that. And we work it for about 4.5 weeks. So again, it's not that we don't mind doing it, but there is a real cost to that. The 5K race, and I'm not going to go up, you can see all of these. All of these are things that we do as the police department, as a service to our town, but there is an actual and legitimate cost to it. So that's really noticed in our overtime budget. So when you see an overtime line item, that's a particular number, just keep in mind that these are things that we do as well. And then some of the constraints we have at the current staffing level, the police department is unable to provide services that are expected of this department. As Jeff was asking earlier, we responded to over 5,000 calls for service last year. That was Pendleton's. Pendleton answered over 5,000 calls for service. At our staffing level, to provide the services that are expected of this department, we don't have coverage on Saturdays. So that's a time that there's a lot of things going on in town, and that's a lot of times that people call. So those are things that we feel we'd like to improve on, and go into that 24-hour day, 7-day-a-week coverage would really just take that whole thing out of there. So the Pendleton Police Department is also unable to ensure consistency of law enforcement to the residents of the Pendleton due to the lack of 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week coverage. Out of all the calls last year, 1,105 residents of the town of Pendleton called 911, and the Anderson County Sheriff's Office had to come out because we weren't in town or we weren't working. So that's a large number, and that's a service that the residents want to see. That if they're having to wait, because the deputy could be anywhere. Now the deputies don't mind coming, but they could be in Powdersville. Who knows where they're at? So it's just that's a number that we want to knock down, and by having 24-hour-a-day coverage, that would take that number out. Again, our current report management system is being discontinued and will lack any technical support. We've talked about that. And then the number of officers on light duty or in the academy. So I have 2 officers that are currently on light duty, who will be on light duty for a while, and I have 1 that is now in the academy. So out of those 9, not including me, 3 of them are on light duty or in the academy. So we're really working what we can and when we can, there's so much more opportunity for things that we can do in the department. So again, some of our goals for the future, 2026 and beyond, is continued expansion of our community outreach program. We've talked about that enough. Replacing the aging vehicles in the fleet just by replacing our spare cars. Like I said, our 2016s and 2017s. Continued introduction of technology enhancements inside the police department. Utilizing all these great tools that we have and continue those is really an advantage for us. Advanced training, additional training for police officers. Continued use of the in-car camera system, and then additional speed memo trailers. We utilize that a lot, and there was something wrong with our batteries. I'm trying to get that figured out, but I bet you we could put one on every street in town, and everybody would love it. So, but those things are kind of expensive. So that is something that we're looking for, maybe adding on to our goals. So that's my police department budget in a nutshell, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have, and I'll try and do my best on it.
I'm just gonna make a quick comment.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, if questions, we could just go by board. I think that would be helpful. That way we're not asking questions. Councilwoman Von Meyer and I met with Sheriff McBride about 2 weeks ago. And I thought it was a really wonderful and constructive conversation, and I learned a lot. And Sheriff McBride was very candid with us, and he pretty much said that Pendleton needs to have 24-hour police or turn coverage 100% over to the sheriff's department and just pay for it. Those were what he said. And I did appreciate it, because it definitely made me think about, this differently. And he basically said that unless it is an in progress, that they do not have officers respond. And so if we have a break-in and the culprit is not at the house, they do not come. And if this is on a Saturday, our residents are then told to file a report on Monday.
Right.
And this body has a lot of conversations about what are the benefits of living in town. And in my opinion, investing in public safety is a #1 priority. We talk about quality of life a lot, and I think this is the first step to that. My only question was on, are we utilizing, I've watched some stuff and read some stuff about police departments utilizing AI technology to help them write reports. Is that something that we're looking into? Would that be helpful?
So that is actually something we're already using. So,
Okay.
so I know that a lot of our report writing stuff, they will take like narratives and put them in Chat GTP and get a better way of saying things just to make it, flow good. And they already are using those. The cameras that we have inside the vehicles are also using AI capability. It's really helping the department in like identifying suspects, using facial recognition as far as, data collection and migration. So AI is a big thing right now. It's still sort of new, but I think that you're eventually, the body camera that I sent you around has got an AI thing in it to where it'll do all kind of things. It's got GPS in it. And it's unbelievable what some of those things do. So AI is a big tool, and we're learning more about it every day.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned that the county's looking to go to Motorola. Are we looking at doing maybe a large purchase with all municipalities and the county so that you might get a better price?
So that is one of the things. The other thing that we're actually working on is the county has said that they would be willing to purchase some of the things that we need for the town to be able to utilize that system, because it's going to really be a benefit for them. Joel went to Columbia last Friday so that we could get some more information on these things that they have and what we utilize now. Will it fit into what they're going to pay for, or if there's something we have to kind of, maybe we still need to continue this thing, but the RMS system works. So we're still working through that. But the goal is to have everybody in Anderson County on the same system so that they can use the same data.
And are you satisfied with the system?
With the Motorola system? So what I've seen so far, it's a really, really good system. Now, they're very proud of it, but it's a good system.
I understand all of them are very proud.
Yes, ma'am.
Prices are going up substantially.
Yes,
on
ma'am.
an annual basis. So if we go to 24/7, does that eliminate the special event costs because we already have coverage, or is there savings there?
So,
All your overtime?
so.
What is your overtime?
So let me answer you. So the answer to the question is it's going to substitute some of that, but you're not going to take somebody off the road to work an event, especially for like an all-night event. So we would still have, maybe an officer that was there to do that. Where it's going to help is where we need 2 officers, we may only need 1 now. So you supplement that by having what's on the road, because we're not going to take people off the road. We want to make sure that each side's covered. So I think it's going to supplement it, but it's also not going to just take it away. So that overtime number right now is $22,400 for the budget year we're in.
All right, that's all my questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Basically, you answered pretty much and you went on.
Yes, ma'am.
Because my questions was going to concerning the, what it's going to cost us, how many more officers we need, because you're not gonna have to take for a long time for 24-hour protection. With
Yes,
the
ma'am.
growth in the area, we need that. So I'm good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, David. That was a
Yes,
great
yes,
presentation,
ma'am. Thank
as
you.
always. Thank you also for coming to the
Great time.
party at the library last night. It was good. I'm gonna go from the top. So on the animal control, do we have an animal control officer?
We do. So
Does that
Officer
include
Wallace,
Officer Wallace?
Officer Wallace is the animal control officer. Now, because we had that one officer who has resigned, Officer Wallace was working day shift, so now he is now working evening shift, so he doesn't come in until 3:30 in the afternoon. But he is our animal control guy. He does a great job at it, and he kind of, it seems like he enjoys it. So, we got some training we're sending him to. So we're going to have it in the evening. We just don't have anything in the daytime.
So would the animal control officer be in addition to our 24/7 number? We would have the 24/7 to cover, plus we would have the animal control officer during the day eventually?
So the goal would be to maybe be able to bring him back to a day shift.
Okay.
And then utilize him. We won't have a separate new animal control person, but because he enjoys it, he's really good at it, we're going to tap into that. And if we can bring him back to day shift, then obviously that would satisfy that requirement.
So the other thing you and I had talked about was maybe setting up a pet day where we would have a blue tag or something and it would say, I'm a Pendleton pet. And then your officers would know if the dog was loose and had I'm a Pendleton pet tag, that you would know that that animal's chipped and that it resides somewhere in town and to whom it lives.
Right.
With whom it lives. When you talk about, I'm trying to decide if that would help you or not, or if it's just an additional burden.
Well, what it's going to do is if you immediately see it, we're not going to say, oh, we're not going to help that dog because it doesn't have a blue tag on. We're not going to do that. But it will help us maybe identify who the owner is so that we can call them and try and, the goal is to get the animal back to home. And that's really the goal. And I just saw there was some, you've probably seen it, there's some technology now where they're actually utilizing Ring doorbell cameras to where if you have a lost pet, you can call this service and they will notify the individuals in this area using data fencing and stuff like that, hey, this dog is missing, check your Ring camera. So if it goes by, you can at least try and follow it, know where the dog's gone. So there's a lot of AI technology that's coming up with that. But the goal is to simply say, if I get a dog, I'd rather call the owner and say, hey, come get your dog, than having to maybe take it to pause or something.
When we talked about the cameras, the safety cameras, the Axon cameras, do we also provide Axon cameras to our code enforcement?
The body cameras, he uses a body camera. We don't have one for the vehicle.
So would that be an advantage, since we're purchasing, do you feel that code enforcement also needs to have some camera backup? Or do you feel that he's safe enough with just the body camera?
So I personally think that having one of those cameras in the vehicle is not really going to benefit animal or code enforcement because it doesn't typically have people in the vehicle with them. The body camera has the capability where he can leave it on the whole time he's out. So personally, I don't think that expense would justify in the code enforcement car as long as he's utilizing a body camera.
So, but we would want to include his body camera in our purchase of body camera. So there's always one for code enforcement, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do the cameras have officer down or fall indicators on them, or how is that done? Is that done with the radio or the camera?
So all of our radios have, and I thought I brought my one, there's a button on it that you can hit that if you're in an emergency, it alerts the emergency number.
And are we always going to have this kind of 1/3 of the force out? Is that a fairly normal number where they've got an injury or they've encountered some difficulty? it looks like we're running, you know, a quarter to a third. I'm just trying to think in terms of the hiring and how we stack that so we've got backup, because
So unfortunately, that is a constraint that the police departments all over the world have, because just the nature of the
job, yeah.
But that's where the benefit of having 3 officers per shift comes in, to where if you do have somebody out, you know, you can move somebody to a different shift. You know, it gives you some flexibility to work.
But that's a fairly normal number, you're
Yes, ma'am.
thinking, that
Yes,
third to
ma'am.
25%. And then when we hire somebody, and they come on board, when we were talking to, the sheriff, I was curious to know, like, what are the advantages for when they come to Pendleton? Like, what things do they cite for you? Is it the small town? Is it the weekly pay? Is it tell me what advantages
Sure.
they think when they come up, so we can continue to attract officers.
Sure. So one of the big things that we have is that you guys as council and leaders of this town allow us to have nice equipment, nice tools. And I'll give you an example. So I was at a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and there was a bunch of chiefs there. And one of the chiefs came to me and said, "Hey, you know, we've got these officers that come in to work for us, and they're asking about all these new cars and new guns and new things." And he said, "What we tell them is, hey, this isn't Pendleton. You know, this is somebody else." So I believe that the town of Pendleton sets the standard for what we do in the county. And I think that really goes a long way, because your biggest advocate, your biggest hiring person is your own personnel. You know, that's your biggest recruitment tool. And if you can make sure that they're happy and give them the things they need to do their job, they're going to help you recruit people.
So you've mentioned that the things that attract them would be the cars, the radios, the cameras, the drone support, the RMS with AI support. Is there anything else key in that list that you
There
think?
is. So one of the biggest things that we offer is, and I know that Chief Crosby and council have done a really big work on this, is the salary. We have a pretty good salary for non-sworn or just entry officer coming into town. So salary and the good benefits and the good equipment is a big tool.
Okay. One last thing, on the transportation side, we have 12 cars now with 9 fully sworn officers, but 2 of those cars are spares.
Yes, ma'am.
So then we bring on 3 more officers, we get 3 more cars, so then we'd be at 15 cars. Because they had 3 more.
Right.
And then
Yes, ma'am.
we're gonna have some spares.
Yes, ma'am.
And we need those spares, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you put them out as dummies sometimes.
Yes, ma'am. Don't tell nobody.
I don't tell them. What about, have you looked, and you have the ATV thing, have you looked at other modes of transportation? So is there any advantage? I'm just asking because I don't know. Obviously not horses, but like motorcycles or any other kind of mode of transportation that would be efficient for you
Sure.
and
I'll
for your
tell you,
department.
if you let me buy a Harley, I'll ride it all day long. So no, so I agree. You know, we can look at bike patrols and things around the square. Those are all things that I think we can. Our goal right now is to get to that 24/7. Once we get to that, then we can start adding services to that. I really think that there's especially with the trails and the things that go around, we're going to have something that we can access those with. So there's different opportunities. If you can't get the mule down it or the side by side, how are we going to get there? So those are all things that I think we can look at. Again, once we get to this stage, I think it opens the door for a lot of other things.
Okay. Thank you, David.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I know in the Winston Street and that development, we got plate readers coming in.
Yes, sir.
Is there going to be an expansion of plate readers in this town?
So
I didn't see you mention that.
So I did not, and right now there is not. I know there's 2 of them that are involved in a grant that are in that system and in that grant area over there. So, you know, that is a tool that all departments are using now. And it's a tool that is a very impressive tool. Again, our thing is that we want to get to a point where we're fully staffed and then look at the other technology thing. Because like I said, one of our objections is to make sure that we're using technology to our advantage. And that is definitely something that we can look at. We just haven't spent a lot of time in it because we're kind of using what we have as kind of a test market.
All right. I mean, I'm not particularly, I have some concerns about that sort of technology.
Sure.
But, at one point actually the last 2 years, we were talking about this on-foot patrolman downtown. It was going to be a half-time job. Now going to 24/7, is there that concept of a patrolman on foot, patrol person on foot around town? Is that something that would still be in being considered?
So if we can get the 3 additional officers and go to a full-time department, that, like I said, gives you 3 people per shift, which we can dedicate to doing this walking patrol. That is very important to me, and I want to see that happen. To say we have a dedicated downtown officer, I would have to see how it works out once we get the 3 shifts or the 4 shifts going. But again, that is something that we want to look at down the road in the future.
I know in Robbie's report last year, he was talking about really working on a mid-level management as an objective. Do you have a report on how that's going?
So we have 2 or 3 officers who have just completed the leadership, mid-level leadership training. We have 1 that is going to a little bit more of advanced leadership. We've got 3 or 4 of them that have really showed an interest in moving to that next level. And then that's where our job steps in to make sure that we give them the tools to do that. I've been over here for about 5 weeks now. So the first thing I had to get done was this budget. So I'm still learning some of the things, but that is something that we need to look into and make sure that we, our biggest thing is we got to support our officers to make sure they're successful. Because if they're not, we're not successful.
So, I mean, we're increased by 40% to get to 24/7. And so how would you envision the chief? And then how would that look?
So again, the goal was to get the shifts on the road, and that's the main important thing. And then if there's a way to move a ranked structure to where you have more of a level of authority, that may give you the ability to do that. Our concern right now, our number 1 goal is to get officers on the street and make sure that we have our coverages and our shifts covered.
Okay. Again, if we're expanding 24/7. I mean, you guys work out of a closet.
Yes, sir.
So you develop the police force expands by 40%. I don't know how many more people will fit in that closet.
So we have
is there an evidence room anywhere in this town?
So there is one in the town, but it's not in very good shape. I think that we'll move all of our officers to a friend of mine's house, lives down off of Pruitt Street. It's got this new shed in the backyard. So, that may be our headquarters. But that also is a concern.
Got a lot of bears back there.
That is a concern, but we're not the only department. Everybody's stuffed up on top of each other, and it's just one of those things that we have to work through. Fortunately for us with the shifts, hopefully we can arrange it to where there's not a lot of overlap, to where there's not so many people here at one time. But again, that is a concern that we will have to address one day.
Okay, because you're right, we're talking about $347,000 for 24/7, but that doesn't include capital expansion to facilitate that huge increase in officers.
The only capital,
except for the
vehicles.
Vehicles.
Yes, sir. That is the only capital that it captures.
Okay. Well, the other question, I guess, was in addition to that, and Steve the whole idea of the police force in the police building down the TIF, but that's a different subject, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good, no problem. If there's no other questions, I will retire to.
We have 4 positions.
We're gonna take about a 6-minute break.
What's that?
We have 4 positions, that's the supervisors that are supervising the law.
Yeah, I didn't know if you're gonna have.
No, 6 minutes. 6.
We'll set the timer.
Yeah.
So I can just,
Resume at 1:10.
shut off cameras and mics. Favor? Leave them.
And please, I saw Nancy write something up there, that's great. If anybody else got something they want to know, to write up there. Yeah.
I understand. Thanks for finding the phone for me, sir. I didn't realize that's what it was. Thank you.
Yeah, I was like.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
There is a computer.
I went to Christmas party. I did that class. I'm on the stuff in the class, and they were saying what we had to do was in the old thing. They said we had to go through the process, we had to go through the budgets.
Yeah, I didn't see
We had
it.
to go through how much we got in taxes and assessed value, 8% of that. Not so much the debt we can have.
So it's 2.4 million for us.
We don't even have.
We had, at the beginning of this year, we had 1.4 million of that was already in debt. Anything happened, we only had $1 million. So if the hurricane would have been worse, so we try not to go to 2.4.
Because you got the cushion. So
We've got
then,
about 5% out.
then they said when you're doing the thing to separate, that's why I was kind of reacting, so I apologize. But they said that you should do the expense things first, this is the MEO, right? And then you should sit down and add in all your capitals. And what I was thinking on our capitals is some of that might be grant eligible too. My God. A new police station.
So,
Because it looks like we need a new police station.
I put that in, I just threw it out there for you.
I don't need it.
But what we do is when we load in there, we start estimating all the revenue and everything. But we go ahead and pre-estimate out the expenses based on taxes.
Well, that's what you had on that.
That's what I had on that sheet.
So when we get done with this, I'll be able to sit down with you. Is that right?
Yeah, we plan on sitting down. A lot of
We can
times
do
we
some
sit
modeling
down.
of that.
A lot of times when we get that fully updated, and I got to send it back to them, I got a couple things out of it. When I get that fully updated, where I can go back and work on it, and I go back and work on it, and I make sure to load everything specific to us and stuff that we've seen specifically, or make sure I pull out anything that I know is one-time expense that we've all, so it shouldn't affect us moving forward. And then we get like everything put in there with estimates of what council and department heads will do, and then we kind of look at what we actually have to do. Like, we got the final report. So we'll go ahead and try to load that into the budget, and then we'll sit down and say, okay, here it is. Here's the next stuff. Go through here. What do you like? Add to see what the impact is.
So in that regard,
I'm so proud of Jamie.
is there some way we can
Miles of the right spot he was supposed to.
figure out
My fault,
which
when
ones
you,
we can grant?
anyway,
Hours for what?
your
So,
presentation.
we can
They would have that guy.
Once I'm done, I'll put it right where you want it.
You can find your grant eligibles.
Not quite done yet.
Budget.
You'll have it by
That'll
Friday.
affect when you get the grant.
Okay.
Put it in the budget.
There's something in this
So what we
chamber.
do, like
It's
stuff,
not that I wanna do
stuff
it,
that we know,
I'm
stuff
just-
that we know.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
What we'll do is
this
like,
time, it's
so
just
when
like.
everybody
I'll
shows
work
up,
with
we
it.
Yeah.
make it, okay.
Look at you, for what?
Check the air quality in the.
Well, look at the man how many
We'll
years
keep
we
going
had.
for the premium.
Woo!
And then-
Oh my God, do not come over here.
Don't
Do
ever
not.
fund it.
Barbara.
It's just-
What? I don't think they're real, I think
If
it's
we
just.
get the grants, then you have to make
It looks like there's two
a
mice in the pen over there.
determination of how you pull it out.
Oh my God, that's so disgusting. Don't do it.
We
It
can
looks like a
show,
mouse.
like, we think we're gonna get a grant, we can put the grant in.
We're supposed to have it.
That's when I first, that's probably why you're into it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So I can ask you.
Yeah, it's basically benchmark standards. is what it is.
I didn't want to.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of it.
Surprise you.
You get a crooked neck.
Well,
You know when you
I
wake
think
up.
when you let us get that completely
It's
set up
already
and
bad
sit
enough
down,
that whenever you have to do the trade.
you have your own, it's called maintenance copy, and if you break it, we just delete it, and we just put
I
another
think
one
it's not
back
where
in.
people sit.
We
Ward.
can keep working on it.
Hey, Steve, how much does a street light cost?
It's like $16 a month, just for recovery.
These really wanted one, they wanted 3 on the hamper. Just the normal ones, not like the ones on this, just the normal.
So we bring those back and y'all approve this council.
About a minute.
I didn't realize hamper was dark when I got on this night. Maybe she's right.
Our expense right now, street lights. Think about
What's the
77.
call?
Nothing, Ms. Barber.
Well, it's just
I see
that.
What else? Ain't nothing for the call.
What do you got? Don't have
Sweet and sugary.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
Really? It used to be.
Might lose that plus on my business.
Go back.
But they were low in sugar. I mean, not low in sugar, they had low in carbs.
Yeah. Tastes like yogurt.
I don't know what it is, there's no clusters.
Oh.
Hello?
Nancy, you ready?
Yep, I'm listening.
Okay. Take it away again.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council.
Are you ready?
I didn't do anything. Okay.
You good over there? Okay.
Yes, we're good. Good.
All right. So I just want to give a clear picture on where our street department is right now. Just want to put this disclaimer, it's not a complaint, it's just an operational reality based on staffing and workload. And hopefully we all have a better understanding of streets after this. Right now, nearly everyone assigned to streets is working in sanitation daily. The shifts happen because our population growth has increased the trash workload, and the trucks are heavier, so we had to keep routes moving. So we've had to split weight on those trucks to be legal on the roads. So we've basically been forced to prioritize trash collection every day to maintain basic service. The end result, streets become mostly reactive, and proactive street maintenance is not happening at the level that residents expect at this time. So we want to, street sign prevents, let me just go to streets, they prevent crashes, they reduce liability exposure. Missing or damaged signs are one of the fastest ways for our town to get in legal trouble. So let me preface that. Signs was one of the core services of streets. I didn't really make that clear with that. Sidewalks are another conditions that directly affect pedestrian safety, ADA compliance. They're trip hazards, uneven panels. Blocked sidewalks are just not complaints, they're also liability issues. Streets handles this as well. Drainage failures lead to flooding, erosion, accelerated roadway damage, and when drainage work is deferred, the repair costs are later are more significantly higher. Right-of-way maintenance ensures drivers and pedestrians can see clearly at intersections, and visibility issues are a major contributor to accidents. So a key point is when streets work is deferred, risk increases and long-term costs go up. Just my thoughts, this preventative work is not optional work. What are we responsible for? Obviously, this is just a quick look at some of the things I just went over: right-of-way clearing, sign repair, striping, thermoplastic, drainage, ditching, pothole, pavement maintenance, sidewalk repairs, and cleaning. So these are all things that our citizens would expect from our street department. Right-of-way maintenance. It's one of the most visible services residents notice immediately. Overgrown grass, limbs create sight distant problems at intersections. Also impacts pedestrians and creates complaints quickly. This work's falling behind because it takes time, equipment, and consistent staffing, which we don't have available at this time. Signs, like I said, are a major safety issue. They're also a liability issue. If we can't keep up with our sign maintenance, it becomes a risk to drivers of the town. Sidewalks. And I'm kind of going through this because there's a lot of things with streets, and I just don't want to just pound this to death. I just want to kind of give you the overview. Sidewalks are another issue that can create liability exposure. Like I mentioned earlier, trip hazards, cracked sections, blocked sidewalks. People complain about this weekly. We also have sidewalk cleaning needs. We try to do that every year, at least twice a year, when we bring in a group of folks to help us through contracted services. Drainage, a lot of folks overlook this. I know we're not SD4, but we are still required to maintain our drainage, our stormwater. So when they're clogged up and the roads flood, that's on the town to make sure we got those clear or jetted out. If we don't maintain ditches and culverts, water starts damaging road bases and shoulder areas. Once that happens, repairs become much more expensive. And we're kind of going through some of that now with an outside contractor fixing some of this as quick as we can. So drainage is a big pay now or pay later item. And right now, I would say we're behind. Pavement maintenance, potholes, pavement edge failures are what residents call about the most. And if I've got one call about a pothole, I bet I've got 1,000. And even if it's not ours, they don't care. They still want to tell me that we need to do better. And if we can patch quickly, we prevent bigger failures. If we can't, the damage spreads and the cost repair grows. So the town's roads are an investment, and pavement maintenance protects that investment. And like I said, currently we can't do that. Thermoplastic. So this is something we just started this past year. Obviously, if anybody's been on Exchange Street, you can see that my thermoplastic work did not hold up very long on that street, and I've got to go do it again. So this is probably going to be a learning curve to make sure that we get this right. Striping and thermoplastic markings are critical for traffic control, especially crosswalks, stop bars, school zones. When markings fade, driver compliance drops and safety concerns increase. The work is hard to schedule when staffing's tied up on sanitation. That also includes, we've got the lights that we can put in the crosswalks too. It's just I don't have the staffing to do it, but I probably have 500 lights that I can put in the ground. So what happens when street work stops? The overall impact is the streets is non-functioning day to day. Safety issues increase, drainage problems worsen, small pavement issues turn into larger failures. Complaint volume goes up because residents see it immediately, and ultimately costs go up because deferred maintenance is always more expensive later. So street staffing and resource reality. Street assigned staff are frequently reassigned to sanitation, like I said, to keep trash routes going. Trash collection is one of our primary core services, so it takes priority. We've got to get trash up. So because of that, there's limited dedicated street labor available daily. Planned maintenance gets delayed. The work is handled only after failures, complaints, or safety concerns arise. And it's not a staffing performance issue, it's a resource allocation issue. The same employees being asked to cover multiple essential functions, or they're being asked to cover multiple essential functions. So the result is a reactive work model. Street work doesn't stop because it's unimportant. It stops because staffing is diverted to meet mandatory sanitation needs. And just kind of give you a heads up, I've only got 2 people in the streets department. So that makes it difficult. Even if I had those 2 fully dedicated to that department, we're still going to be behind the power curve with these responsibilities. Street equipment needs. So this is not a wish list. I know it looks like it. It's a capability list tied directly to safety, drainage, pavement maintenance, and sign work. The equipment shown supports work council already expects us to do, such as pothole patching, drainage repair, sign replacement, and right-of-way maintenance. The cost range reflects low, mid, and high estimates, and I've got a handout for you so you can see costs on this equipment. And not all equipment would be purchased at once. You know, there'd be items to be prioritized by tier, and that allows staff to, purchase in phases. For the most part, we are not terrible with a lot of our equipment that we have on hand for streets. We do need a few pieces, but staffing is our biggest concern. And I think it's everybody's concern. So equipment strategy, buy versus contract. So tier 1 through tier 3 equipment represents core assets, and that's on the handout I'll give you. I can give it to you now if you prefer to look at it while we go over this, or I can do that. And with this, I've got this, there's Canvas survey on here. And it's just basically because I want to know what your level of expectations are from us. So I can actually tailor, if you will, the streets departments to meet what you expect. Is the last sheet on that is where this budget breakdown is. Tier 4 through 7 items are more project specific or volume dependent. And a lot of those we're actually fairly decent on. This buy versus contract strategy allows the town to control costs, avoid underutilized equipment, and focus spending where it provides the greatest public safety and operational benefit. So options, option A, and the more I thought about this, I almost hated to just put this as options because sometimes that's just a loaded question. Option A is what we're currently doing. Sanitation takes priority and streets stays minimal and reactive. Or we'll restore streets as a functional department again, but that means sanitation would need support. That means staffing and equipment and route changes possibly. I don't like changing routes because people like their schedules. Or option C, we look at a hybrid where we keep core town staff focused on urgent work and oversight, but we contract out mowing, ditching, or striping so the work still gets done. We can operate under any of these, but I just need some direction on how you feel we need to move forward with this department. So in the short term, staff recommends, I would say, a hybrid approach at this time. At least maintaining sanitation priority while using targeted contract support for street functions like right-of-way mowing, drainage work, and striping. And this allows the town to address safety and liability concerns without immediately adding permanent staff. Long-term, staff believes restoring baseline street staffing capacity is the most sustainable solution as the town continues to grow. I know everybody's asking for personnel and equipment. So I just kind of wanted to throw an option out there. Our best bet is to bring this department back to staffing levels that it needs. But if not, at least give us the ability to contract out the funding, I would say, to contract out some of these needs so we can get them done. And this recommendation balances operational reality with public safety needs, and it acknowledges current constraints while providing a clear direction for the improvement. When now the staff, we can meet the council's expectations, but the expectations got to match our staffing and our resources. That's the biggest thing. If the town expects sanitation services at today's demand level and expects proactive street maintenance, we need the staffing or contracted support to make that happen. And once we get a clear direction on how we want to proceed, we can build a clear plan, we can set standards, we can deliver consistent results. And that is where I'm at with streets.
So now you didn't do, that's basic, is public works is now streets?
Well, we have streets, we have sanitation, we
But
have
streets
buildings.
is what your bank got you.
Yes, ma'am. Just that specific department, streets, is just what I'm talking about today. We have a lot of facets that we cover down there. And unfortunately, we probably come up here and ask and beg for the most of anybody. Because not minus the police department, you guys probably get the most complaints and from what our staff covers. And I'm sure you get tired of it. Yeah.
I'm not sure about the highlighting, what the highlighting versus the tiering sections.
So the tier ones, that would be the primary, the most important equipment that the street departments could use. Streets, that throws me for a loop. I won't say street or streets. Hot box like that, like a trailer for asphalt, where we could do our internal patching instead of contracting that out. But here lies the staffing issue with that. There's two guys. One drives in sanitation. The other guy is kind of on his own, and I plug him sometimes I'd plug in a building grounds, sometimes they're both in sanitation driving, or if it's something, say sign replacement. See, I can send a signal guy out to put signs up. But as far as you understand,
These other things that are highlighted down here is the same.
I-
So the highlighting really is.
if, yeah, I'm sorry, it isn't too relevant. Matter of fact, I made some notes on mine, and I probably made that a little confusing by leaving it that way, so I apologize. But so out of that list, the dump truck. Obviously, we got to have something to haul asphalt with, amongst other things. Dirt, we move dirt. That's public works for you. Asphalt hot box, so we can actually do internal patching with appropriate staffing. The plate compactor, I've got one down there. I could probably do some work on that to make that work better for us. It's small. I don't think we need one that's too awful big at this time. A mini excavator. Yes, when you start looking at the ditching, and it's not highlighted, so I'm sorry I left those in there. This was just a matter of me going through, picking at this. And then traffic control devices, especially for our events. We started using jersey barriers this past year for the like the fall festival. World of difference. It beats the old standard. Yeah, or them old stand up, what I call the old style barricades that, you can get about 5 of them on a trailer. And it takes 3 guys not trying to kill themselves to get it off because it falls apart. The water barricades are great. And you don't necessarily have to fill them all with water. You just got to put them up, and they're solid, they're stackable. I can carry probably 50 of them at a time. So those, they are on there. It's traffic control kit, and it says cones, signs, barricades.
Well, that's the Jersey barriers.
Yes, ma'am.
So how many of those are in there? Is that as many as you would need?
That number probably should be higher, but that is based off us renting those, because right now I'm limited on space down there as well too. I don't know if you've been by Public Works lately. I've had to scrape the back part of it out and get all the brush gone so we could put trailers and stuff back there, because we're just running out of room to park employees and the equipment that the town owns. We're just limited a little bit.
Jay,
Yes, ma'am.
as you know, I'm new to this role, and I have a lot of respect for you and what your team does. I really enjoyed getting to know you, and I really enjoyed getting to know Public Works. They are just wonderful, and I see them around town, and they wave, and they just, I am just very grateful for what you do and what they do.
I appreciate it. Thank you,
If
ma'am.
you were in this chair,
Mm-hmm.
knowing what you know, and you have a lot of institutional knowledge, not only in regards to Public Works, but also in regards to other, your department head, like other departments in this.
Yes, ma'am.
In this building, what would you advise us to do?
Wow. That's why I don't envy that chair, ma'am. I tell you. I don't envy it, because
I should also represent, I don't like when people come in and tell me how to do my job, like I'm the expert in doing my job.
no,
You're the
I get
expert
it.
in doing your job. I respect that. I think this body respects it. I mean, I'm not saying that I can give you the moon, but I'm really gonna try, but I really would like to know.
No, I understand.
What you think, and there's no right or there's no
I-
wrong.
Okay, due to just, I would say what I know with what most department heads are needing, my focus, and I hope I don't get in trouble for this. I do believe David, his department is the priority, just based off what the town needs. But I don't want the town to lose focus on what I call the invisible work that Public Works does and what we're responsible for. If sometimes what you hear is loose rhetoric through the town to where people are not satisfied with a product that's being produced, but they don't understand the limitations to get to that level of expectation. The green's a prime example. We hear a lot of, and it's never anything directly, but the green needs to look better. We wish it looked better. But I don't have a, for lack of a better term, a punch list of what's expected of it to look like. And I've spent several thousands of dollars in amendments, mulch. We've even had it top dressed. We're in the process of having a new irrigation installed after Spring Jubilee because we don't want to mess up any of the functions that go on as well. But it's hard to give a level of expectation when we're not 100% sure what that expectation is at any given time. Everybody seems to have an opinion, and that's the problem. There's 1,000 opinions out there of what it needs to look like, but if I could get a clear direction, I say again, a punch list of what do you want it to look like? And I can realistically then tell you, I can make that happen, and I can make it happen with what I've got, or I'm going to have to go outside and contract some of it too, so we can get to that level. And this is what it'll cost. And are you okay with that cost? So until I can get that clarity, some of this, I'll be honest, all of these departments I'm over are difficult because they're all kind of, there's a lot of gray in them right now.
So, Mark, so from us, more clarity in the survey. My other kind of question is based on what you hear from the public.
Yes, ma'am.
Where should our priorities be? If the green is something that you're hearing consistently, that's also what I'm hearing consistently. And I also want to preface this by saying you respond back to every citizen that emails you. You respond back kindly, politely. I'm very grateful for the time that you spend in responding to all of our citizens on a lot of those emails, and I'm constantly impressed by your communication.
Well, thank you.
So outside of the green, where are you really seeing the needs in our community based on public input?
I would say anything on the corridors specifically. When you look at the Marquee Field, City Sister Park, because those are bringing you right into downtown. Obviously, the focus needs to be there. Where some of the focus may diminish, I'd say the Exchange Club, some of the depot building. I know that's a big thing, but something somewhere's got to give a little bit so we can elevate the time and attention to other areas. It's hard. We can't really let West Queen go because that streetscape, there's probably $1 million in that upgrade. So you can't just go, we'll get it next week. We need to do something there as well. So all that's corridor area coming in. Brown Road, North Mechanic Street, Brown Road Park. I know that's a corridor area, but it is, I'll be honest with you, some of that would probably take a back seat to more of the stuff downtown. And downtown is another thing. Everybody seems to have a difference of opinion, and this will be in the building and ground side too, of what downtown, what we actually cover. And it's not just the Green and Exchange Street. Sometimes we get tunnel vision and thinking that's downtown. Downtown really goes from the alleyway behind the candy shop all the way down East Queen to Depot, down to Cherry, back up to Mechanic. That's a pretty significant area. And it's two guys that's got all this. And if one's sick, one's on leave, now you're at one guy. And we're about to hit spring season, so grass is going to explode. And we're on our third person over that department. People, the last two just burned out and quit. I mean, no notice, just left. So and they all tie together. You know, all of my departments bleed over to an extent. In a perfect world, they would not. They would be standalone. That's difficult to do. And still meet a baseline level of expectation and safety and try to put that extra in other places.
I will, and I also want to say this is a promise, and I know they say politicians shouldn't make promises, but I will make you a promise that I will individually get with every member on this council, and we will have expectations for you.
I appreciate
So
that.
are
Thank
no
you.
longer operating in the dark. That is a promise.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I got just a few questions, I guess, and this is just because of my lack of memory as I get older. But
I'm with
from last year's budget,
Yes.
there was 8 major requests, and I don't know what we bought or not.
Okay.
So we had, one of them listed was a John Deere compact track loader. Did we get that?
Did not.
We did not,
Not
but
for
that's not
streets.
listed on yours. But we brought it up last year.
A compact track.
Hold on a second.
Now, we're talking
We
skid
bought
steer?
track lifters, so the way your budget works, so just clarification, kind of like he's talking about all his departments meld together, all your money melds together too.
Mhm.
So we use water and sewers by Public Works, their track loader, and the other thing, instead of pulling out of general fund, so he has a new track loader. He may not have a new track loader bought out of general fund. And I'm sure he'd like another track loader, but he has that, in fact, it's about 110,000.
So we just bought that.
I'm sorry, I call that a skid loader, so to me,
Okay.
a track loader is a
Sure.
different thing, so I'm sorry. I do have skid
Sure.
steer, yes, sir.
So
Com-
this-
uh,
This is another one?
No, this is from last year.
Right. but
this is last year's
Is
request.
this one a second one? So he has 2 skid loaders?
I don't know.
Is this, I'm just following up with Jeff. So you bought one, and then if you got a skid steer loader here, is that for, to have a second one on instead?
For a smaller one for building and grounds, or, streets, yes, potentially,
So we'd have 2 of those,
yes, ma'am.
Three of them.
or 3 of them.
I-
We have one.
One of them, the wheel Bobcat that you have right now.
So the second one was a compact excavator. Did we get that?
No.
We
Did the
did.
mini excavator, no, sir.
And are we asking for it this year?
It's on that list, it'd be nice to have one
Okay.
with a ditching bucket specifically for ditching.
And you mentioned backhoe, right? We don't have one. We didn't get that from last year.
No.
You have it on this list, right? Or not? Yes?
Yes, sir,
Okay. And switch and go bed,
we got that,
we got that.
yes,
Good.
sir. And we have two distinct beds for that option that we can utilize.
This guy too, the big Tex, whatever.
Yes, we didn't get that specific brand. We got one from Stack and Nolan. It's, it works. I'll put it that way.
Okay. How about the skid steer forestry mulcher?
We did. We
You
got
got
that.
that too?
We have an array of attachments for that skid steer.
All right. And then the underground inspection camera system?
Yes, sir. We got that.
So we actually got about 5 of the 8 on here, and you're requesting 2 more of those items. Okay.
If possible. I mean, I'll shoot for the stars and just take whatever I get.
So this brush cutter, package for the skid, is that the skid steer that Jeff
Yes,
was
ma'am.
talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
We already bought one mulcher head, right? And the one you have, we already have.
Yes, we've got it.
So this gives you a second one, but you don't have anybody to run it.
I don't. I actually,
Buy a piece of equipment, but no, don't have anybody to run it.
some days I do, some days I don't.
But generally you don't.
But generally I don't.
So I don't know if this is the right group to ask, or this particular section of your presentation, but I know we incorporated truck tracking devices a few years ago. And do we do that in all vehicles or just the pickup trucks?
No, sir, I've got them in all. Matter of fact, I have GPS Insight. Ansley's helped set up to get our 3 latest vehicles installed as well. We have Driver Eye actually working as well now.
Is that obviously you're you're continuing with the program, so you feel it's successful?
I like the tracking aspect of it. Like if I need to know where one of my trucks are, I can find it. Utilizing the map history on it sometimes is it lags. So sometimes it's frustrating trying to pinpoint a certain route, but it does the job. The biggest thing is I know exactly in real time where my trucks are and if they're moving or not.
Okay. And this is, We were working on these galvanized lines and all that, and how is that time to ask this question, or can I ask that now?
That's water and sewer, but yeah, I'll be
Okay.
glad to.
How we doing on that?
We're at about 89 unknown still that we've just got to go out and physically look at. Everything else has been identified, and actually this year we'll be putting out the second set of letters that's required by DES just to notify the citizens. But we're moving, it's moving forward.
Okay, good. That's all I got.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
how is the salaries for what we're paying our public works employees? How is that kind of comparable to other in the area?
I think it's comparable. Naturally, you get this group of guys, they're always going to want more money. I think that's
So
anybody.
what's the average salary?
Well, if I hire somebody straight in as a tech one, we're looking at $16.10 an hour.
Annual salary, and that would be how much?
Ooh.
Hey,
30, 32, I was gonna say 32, 33.
and what are we looking at as far as turnover? I know you just said you had two who quit. And see, that's what I want to make sure of, that we can keep this department with people. It's not like it used to be. People are not gonna stay where they're not gonna be compensated. Long the days are gone where you could just, y'all are the lowest paid person there is. Another thing we don't have the option of anymore is we cannot have youth interns working like we used to. That's a huge liability thing. So my concern is, what do we need to do to make sure we get sanitation staffed 100%? Because right now, being understaffed, it's like the dog chasing his tail. He ain't never gonna catch it. Because, everything that you're looking at is infrastructure. And once our infrastructure, which is already, every time it rains, we got another line going down. So our infrastructure, especially with our sewer and water, I mean, to me, it's essential that we do what we can to make sure this is a department that is fully staffed and fully funded, and also look at what we can do to make sure the employees want to stay here.
Right. Well, the biggest thing that I've tried to implement with the people I've hired, and like with Terry, our new assistant director, and having Norm come back to help, is the environment that the guys work in. If I can't, I'm limited to what I can control with salary. It's usually set, and I think it's set comparable to what our surrounding agencies are for the most part. Obviously, I'd love to see them paid a little more, because a lot of these guys don't factor in losing 9% on retirement. For whatever reason, they get fixated on a dollar amount an hour, and they add it up and they think this is what they're going to get on their check, and they get it and they come to me, what's up with this? I'm like, buddy, you're on state employed now. You got retirement coming out. And if you can hold on, it's worth it. Some of the younger guys who have families, they struggle. A lot of them have second jobs. It's a burnout, you work Monday through Friday, and then Friday night through Sunday afternoon, a lot of the guys are driving tow trucks for another company somewhere. That seems to be the norm for them. So we try to offset it as much as we can by making the work environment as appealing as possible. So we do internal things like I don't know if anybody's been in public works a couple of years ago and then walk into it today. We've tried to update the place. We've taken a couple of walls out to expand it, to make it a little more inviting when you come in. We've gotten better equipment, and we continue to do that. We try to make sure that the guys have the tools necessary to perform the work that they're tasked with. And for years, I think that was a struggle, or they just had folks that didn't care to do it, or just didn't know how to get the equipment, or just, I don't know. I don't know. I can't speak for prior to going there, but if they need it, we're actually outsourcing. We talk to other people, we talk to other agencies. I've got my guys, 2 of them in a conference this week, down the coast for meters and stuff, so we can look at other options that make things easier here, that doesn't make it so labor intensive. If there's tools out there that can make the job easier, then we need to take advantage of that. And then if a guy's not in a ditch every day, he's willing to stay there. I mean, we don't have what happened on West Blue Ridge every day, but man, when it happens, it was 10:30 that night before the guys got done, and they're in 40-degree water up to their armpits trying to get a 6-inch. We had to call for help. We didn't have the equipment to get the water out of the hole. So it's frustrating. You know, I don't want to see those guys in there either, and you have to start rotating them out so they can actually work. Could you start losing fine motor skills when you're in those conditions?
The other thing, I know you're saying, you know, what you want with the village green.
Yes, ma'am.
And me personally, I think that it would help us if you would say, because you know what needs to be done,
Mhm.
then you need to give us a plan. Because otherwise, if it goes down into people wanting, you know, pretty flowers and hedges and this, that, and the
Yep.
other, we need to take into account that people don't
Well-
realize this is, you know, you can put trees out, but you have
Yeah.
to realize where those roots gonna go, what type of trees, these types of.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be helpful if we had some guidelines as far as that.
Yep, and I'm absolutely going to give those to you with the building and grounds, because I've got a couple of options for you. One of them's probably going to make your jaws drop, but it's an option.
Okay.
Extra turf.
Yes.
Jay, one last question. When
Yes,
you say
ma'am.
fully staffed, what number do you think you need?
It'd be nice to have 4 dedicated to street department. Now, I understand everybody's asking for people, but 4, like when you break it down by department, 4.
You currently have 2.
I've got 2 in there.
4 more, you mean?
Or more, or
4 total, because one of them currently is having to drive a sanitation truck because we had to cut weight. And the other guy, I plug him in. If it's something that, obviously I can't have him go out and do ditching by himself. It's too dangerous, and you got to have traffic control depending on where it's at. And you got to have a spotter, because in those right of ways, we've got utilities. And I'm tired of arguing with AT&T every time we go dig somewhere. Not every time, but AT&T can be a pain. And they like to blame us for it. It doesn't matter who does it. They want the town of Pendleton damage their stuff. So they always end up in an argument with them. We've won every one of them.
Good job.
So far, I don't mind arguing with them.
So Jay, I have a few questions for you. I have a sense, and it's not criticism, but I have a sense that separating out the public works into departments is actually a little bit of an artificial thing, because you shuffle people around, and and I understand that, and I'm not being critical. I'm just getting an indication that there's not you're not able to say, okay, here's Rebecca, and she's going to be in charge of the streets, and she has 4 people working for her, and here's her tasks for the day. And here's Chris, and he's in charge of the pipes, and he's in charge of this for the day.
Yeah.
And here's Charlie Brown, and he's in charge of sanitation and the roll carts. That you really have one department, and you're shuffling a lot of people. So this 4 dedicated people would be hired as 4 people to do streets and backup only on water, sewer, and roll cart. Is that what I'm understanding?
No, they wouldn't go. I try to keep general fund and water and sewer completely separate, because you've got.
So these 4 would be just doing streets. That's all, streets and possibly roll carts.
You're correct, because sanitation, streets, and building and grounds are all in general fund. So you're absolutely right. I'm having to bleed.
So if it's an artificial division, why do we have it? Like, is it going to be easier for you to manage it as a task list where you
Well-
have buildings and grounds and streets as one group and the roll carts as a group? Is that better for you to manage? I'm getting a sense that you're struggling with the managing of it.
Well, no, it's the expectations that each department's supposed to produce for the town. So if I have 4 dedicated, let's say the streets, I don't have to worry about anything that streets needs to happen in that, any type of service. I've got 4 people that's dedicated and I can keep them busy on streets. If I have 4 or 5 on building and grounds, then I know they can be totally dedicated to building and grounds. And I don't have to go, okay, guys, I'm short on streets. I've got to pull you over here. So then that's where services start lacking. And that's where we start getting complaints. And that's where I get the.
So maybe it would be wise to look at the public works as a whole and get a sense of how many total people we need,
Mhm.
not just the isolated streets. So if we had 4 for streets, 4 for buildings and grounds, and then however many we need for roll carts and reclamation,
Mhm.
I mean recycling, sorry, mining term. So we would have that, so we'd get a sense of those total numbers. So it's a struggle for us to figure out what the priorities are when it's not clear to, I'm willing to be clear to you, but I'm asking you to be clear to me.
Sure.
So I think that's something we just need to work through this budget process and get an understanding of that. And then
Absolutely.
along with that, as Barbara had mentioned, the pay rate and the benefits, like what attracts people to come to Pendleton? Is it the nifty uniforms they get? Is it the hours they work? Is it the marvelous parties we have for them? Is it the great supervision? Like, what are the things that draw people to come here instead of Central?
I got you.
So that kind of thing.
Yes.
On the equipment, is there any way that we could do a shared purchase? I know that one utility has to own it, but the hot asphalt box, could that be shared with Central perhaps, or with another surrounding community? Because we're not going to use it 24/7, and sometimes when a hot box sits, they don't sit well.
Well, you wouldn't leave it in there any length of time. That is basically.
So you're going to use it you're going to use it at least once a week, the hot box?
Well, the way we are doing sewer and water cuts right now, it is very possible. I'd hate to say no, and the next thing I know, we've got 32 leaks as soon as we walk out of here. It's one of those.
But I was just thinking that it's a pretty big expenditure, not super big, but 65,000 is not nothing to shy away from. And oh, this is
I'm
65,000.
sorry, it shouldn't, no, it should be about 6,500.
Well, that's a pretty different number.
That's a huge number.
Yeah, okay, well
Yes.
then I'm not going to have the discussion. It's only $6,500. I'm sorry, I thought it was 65,000.
No, I'm sorry. I've been looking at a lot of numbers here lately.
So we need to,
I'm probably cross-eyed.
so we want to revise this because that makes a
Okay.
big difference in your total as well.
Yep.
Is there any indication, and perhaps not so much on streets, but I mean, I feel very strongly about the sidewalks.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been told we have a grinder.
I don't like it.
We don't have a grinder? Okay, so,
We need a
and
milling machine for that, for sidewalks.
for sidewalks, or we need to tear them up and re-pour them,
Or tear them up and report.
like the ones in front of Frank's. Those all need to be pulled up and re-poured. If you walk them, they need to be pulled up and re-poured.
I understand what you're saying, but then you get into what SCDOT is responsible for versus what we are.
I get that. I'm trying to stay away from them, so,
No, I
got it.
got you.
Yeah, because they're trouble.
So just as a clarification, you can mill them without crossing the DOT, but you can re-pour it to DOT or?
Is that what you're saying?
So anything that's
Am I wrong?
DOT to do anything, we have to get DOT permission. So there are some things that we are already in a long-term contractual relationship with DOT to maintain. For instance, the sidewalks between Main and Queen on Mechanic, those are all ours to maintain now. We chose to do the streetscape up there. We can take over, certain sidewalks, like from Broad back to here, all those are SCDOT sidewalks. And we go clean on them, we make them passable, just to make it look down. They actually should be the ones doing the maintenance on it. So we go back to them, like we have them do a bunch, but we asked them to do a bunch of repairs on Mechanic Street going out toward 76. And they came in and did a bunch there. So we just have to give them a list and see what they will do. But anything past that, like they don't go in the edge, they don't go in the cut, they don't go in the blow.
Okay. So we have a sidewalk inventory that's pretty good, and we just need to go through and clarify the responsible agency on those, because we did not get that when we captured it, because we weren't sure. So maybe we just need to sit down with you and capture that information from your brain get it onto the GIS so we know, and then when Sarah meets with the DOT, she can say, here are the 18 sidewalks that are exceptionally bad DOT. Do you want us to do them, or are you gonna do them? Or do we need a grant to do them? Whatever, right? And get whatever equipment. Jay, have we ever looked at, not so much, not that I'm actually asking to put citizens in the middle of the street, because I'm not, but have we looked at any role that volunteers could play to help with some of these things? I don't want to cross the buildings and grounds and the street department thing, but I'm thinking the buildings and grounds in terms of flowers and trees is something more volunteers can do than your streets work,
And I know
correct?
the garden club in previous years has done a lot of that.
They have.
I think that group has shrunk some. It's not as many folks involved with it now.
But that's something that would help us.
We could, and I think they still do some of that for us, like at the depot building and right here at the corner of the bridge here. They may, like, if they need mulch, topsoil, stuff like that, we'll bring all that, and then the ladies normally, they know what flowers they want.
Yeah, they
so we
do,
don't dare
they do the
cross them
point,
back.
they do Sister City Park, they do the Gossip Bridge, they do this one, yeah.
Yeah.
Nancy, I have directed staff to put together kind of a list of what different organizations are doing. So we're
Okay.
more aware. I think that would be really helpful. And then I did just, I have directed Amber and Lindsay to politely add more meetings to Jay's calendar and, have you sit in on the mayor's beautification committee and the decor committee, because I feel like committees like that could be a big advocate for public works.
I agree. And your mowing, is mowing in streets or is mowing in buildings and grounds?
Building and grounds.
Okay.
Right of way cutting is streets though. So like if.
So the
like if
61 acres that we figured, that a lot of that was right of way mowing.
I'm sure some of that, yeah, but the building and grounds guys, they do have a lot of acres that they're covering for two guys as well.
And the village green, that's buildings and grounds, that's not discussion here.
It's building and grounds, yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we're gonna go right into the sanitation.
So now you get another dose of me.
And then I do apologize, I have a standing commitment every Wednesday, so I will be ducking out in about 22 minutes. Lynn, can you close this meeting out on my side? Thank you.
All right. This is the sanitation side of us.
And that one is in your email because it was so large, it would not go to the side.
Where's this? Is in our email?
Yeah, this one is a little larger because there's so many services that fall under sanitation and to touch base on each one. So this is about sanitation service delivery and how we keep it reliable, safe, and sustainable. This transition is already underway. Obviously, we already have a side loader in our inventory, and we're looking to continue to add at least 2 more in the coming years with that process. So we're going to cover trash collection equipment, recycling, leaf, bulk, brush limits, and staffing impacts. So again, we just need a service model so expectations match what we can deliver. And I think we've got a fairly decent service model in place already. Sanitation is not just one route. It's trash, recycling, leaf, brush, bulk. All services draw from the same employee pool and equipment. So when one route gets delayed, it ripples into the next, and it shows up as complaints up here for our CSRs. So rear loaders, they are labor intensive by design. This is what we have basically had for years. To run efficiently and safely, it takes 3 employees. That's a driver and 2 collectors. The model is hard to sustain with staffing realities and increasing demand. So manual handling increases fatigue and injury exposure as well. So one thing I always say about side or rear loaders, they don't just pick up trash, they consume manpower as well. So rear loaders still have a place, but for most daily residential collections, they are outdated compared to the side loader options. Like I said, they require more staff per route, they're slower, and they increase risk. They also reduce flexibility during call-outs or training. So it's a model built for a workforce that we don't have anymore. Side loaders are the modern standard for residential collection. One operator can run the route once carts are used correctly. I currently still have 2 guys in our side loader because we're trying to get people educated on how to place their carts. And we have put stickers on these carts with an arrow telling them point toward the road to help out with that process. It seems to be working. So these things improve reliability and reduce repetitive lifting and injury risk. So, we can have essentially a one operator system versus a 3-person dependency with the side loaders. So right now I have 8 total sanitation employees in that department. If the rear loaders had to be used daily, it would require 9 to operate efficiently. That's a driver. And the only reason that I need 9 is because we've had to run 2 trucks on every route each day to cut weight because we were severely overweight. So the side loader purchase last year still allows us to run a 2-person setup, but as we educate our citizens, hopefully we'll get that transition to a 1-person. I can loosen that guy up for other sanitation needs. Recycling. It's a public expectation, but contamination is frequent. Common contaminants include, and I know we just went over this in the last council meeting, but household trash, cat litter, glass, dog feces, pizza box, unwashed plastics. We get it all in those 18-gallon totes. They are just another trash can, basically. So we've tried multiple approaches, refusing pickup. All that done was increase calls up here to our CSRs, people upset. We've distributed flyers in the past. We've even manually separated items in the field from time to time. But it's time consuming and it's not sustainable. So we can educate it, we can tag it, but we can't staff our way out of it. It's just one of those services that just does not seem to benefit us currently. We still got to complete routes on time. So if we red tag every contaminated tote, it delays services, reduces capacity elsewhere. To keep routes moving, contaminated recycling, it gets diverted to the landfill. This is a call I made. I've got to get people taken care of. The only thing I can do to make sure the services after sanitation get touched are done is just to send everything to the landfill. So we can either enforce recycling perfectly or complete routes on time. And with current staffing, I can't do both. Leaf routes. They run after the trash routes. And this also requires 2 employees. I have to have a ground guy with this driver. Ground person's needed because leaf piles, they're often contaminated with sticks, bricks, toys, and dirt that damage the impeller system that, sucks the leaves up. So leaf season is not a route problem. It's more of a contamination problem too, but it's one we can deal with. The new leaf truck, we've already had to take the hose off of it twice to get sticks out of it because of contaminated leaf piles. And of course, people get upset when their leaves aren't picked up and they call town hall, or they probably call one of y'all sitting here. Challenges, like I said, contamination, contractor abuse is another one. We have a lot of folks that have a contractor come in and clean the yards up and they pile everything right on the side of the road and expect us to get it. And most times we do, especially if it's a senior citizen or somebody with disabilities, even though it's a contractor, we end up with it. So the leaf vac holds 20 cubic yards in one stop, and I'm going to use Broad Street. I'm going to throw it out. We'll take up the whole truck, and they're notorious for it. So now we have to go dump before we can even complete the route because of one stop. And our older one is still currently down. It's got solenoid issues with the controllers for the arm on the outside. I'm trying to find a retrofit option for that truck so we don't have to purchase an additional truck and still use that one because we do have money invested in that truck and we need to put it on the road. So bulk route. bulk route that runs after trash routes, and it requires at least 2 employees as well and the right equipment. So this is for everybody that throws out their stoves, their couches, and their bedroom furniture, refrigerators. This is stuff we have to go get. Unfortunately, we have some folks that will clean out their entire house. I don't know if, and they're still living where they're at, so I don't know if they just put, everything in their house and just do everything out, but it is unreal sometimes. There is a cost with this, and they do not like it when we tell them there's a cost. We don't mind getting it. They just need to pay it, and they have to come up here to do so. So, but and a lot of this stuff requires a bulk truck to pick up. I can't send the 2 guys out in the pickup truck like we normally do to pick up smaller stuff. So this is becoming more and more of a issue. And it's a bulk pickup's not a separate operation. It's a separate operation. It's not an add-on. So people expect this service. Problem of bulk, it's not predictable. One street can have 1 couch, the next street might have 3 appliances and a full household set out. Fuel, disposal, equipment wear, it's all wears on these trucks. Bulk also competes directly with roll cart service for the same staff and equipment. Trash collection it's expected, and I use the term mandatory a lot, but it's a ordinance that we have, and it's a service we offer. It's a core service. That's a better way of putting it. So when bulk spikes, bulk's got to wait, and then residents feel that delay. So this is why bulk service needs to remain limited and controlled, and why equipment reliability matters. The knuckle boom I've got now for bulk, it's an older one, and we've had to do some work on it, but when it's down, these guys are out there picking this stuff up by hand, and if they can't, that's where that bleed over comes from, where I may have to rob from another department to go help them, and they got to pull a trailer to get stuff. So it's always interesting. So brush pickup. Brush pickup is intended for seasonal trimmings. Some residents are effectively clear cutting lots and expecting the town to pick it and haul it off for free. This overwhelms routes, and it's unfair to compliant residents. We do have a fee base for excess pickups. That's $150, but they have to come up here and take care of that cost. We will not argue with people roadside. We just advise them of the process, and we have to move on. Sometimes that's easier said than done. So limits are required regardless of staffing or equipment to protect core trash services. So standards, I know this has been a topic for years, and I wanted to go and just go buy some PVC and build this, and I was actually said I should, and I just ran out of time. But this is, your bulk pile really should be no more than 6 feet long, because that's the length of the limbs that the facility at Clemson takes. It can be 6 feet wide and about 4 feet high. That is probably at least 2 to 3 grabs of that knuckle boom. And that's a good bit of seasonal trimmings, if you will. But we still have people that put root balls, they put logs out, stumps, and we cannot take that to the facility at Clemson. It just does not work in that chipper system. But so sanitation equipment requests. Obviously a side loader. In all reality, I don't know if that's an option this year. I was kind of understood that it may be an every other year thing that we may look at. We just got one. So I'm not being unrealistic thinking we're going to get another $400 plus $1,000 trash truck. But you're not going to hurt my feelings if you say, hey, let's go ahead and get that second one in. It'd be great. And then a secondary grapple or knuckle boom, if you will. That's our biggest things for sanitation currently, is getting that new side loader option going completely town-wide, so it can And it's not freeing up guys to go to other departments. It's actually freeing them up to start other sanitation services earlier. We can start a brush route earlier. We can start the leaf route earlier. We can start the bulk route earlier. So these other services can actually start quicker and get done sooner and get processed and get where they're supposed to be instead of having to park a truck full of trash or debris on Public Works, and then the next morning they have to run it to Star or Clemson or Belton. We'll have time to actually get those trucks unloaded if they need unloading for that day. So other thing I would request is one additional full-time sanitation employee. This estimated annual cost is about $62,026. That's just based off the Tech 3. $62,026. Now, my math may be a little off, but it shouldn't be too far off. That's based off a Tech 3 of our hiring range, mid-level, fringe benefits, upfitting costs. But that's about the standard cost to get a new Tech 3 hired in.
Just to help Jay a little bit, the Tech 3 is the one that has a CDL license.
Do they need the CDL to do the side loader? They do, right?
They do for the side loader. It does require. I can, though, get a non-CDL required knuckle boom, though. It's not as big as, it's the same size as the orange one that you see going around town picking up brush. The blue one's a little bigger, but due to weight, I can get a non-CDL required knuckle boom, which would allow me to utilize guys that do not have a CDL.
How much is that?
The knuckle boom, you're looking at $275,000 probably for a knuckle boom.
For the orange one?
Yes, ma'am.
The one we have now, is it CDL required or not?
The orange one is not, the blue one is. So that's has really benefited us to have a non-CDL. We can't carry as much on it, but it works just fine. Especially since the turnaround for that truck specifically is Clemson and back. If we were going to Star or Belton with it, then, because you're looking at a 2-hour turnaround a lot of times with Belton, because you get there, then you're in line with every other facility and municipality and private trash collector dumping.
But if you need the bulk loader for the, if you need the knuckle boom for bulk loading, you have to use the blue one, don't you?
I do. So I have to get a CDL driver for that one. And that's the guy from Streets I've been pulling and using to run that one.
So Jay,
Yes, ma'am.
can we do questions now?
I'm
How
fine.
many slides do you
I'm at 18. I've got 21
Go
total.
ahead. No, I didn't know, I thought it was like you.
I'm almost there. Here, I'll finish this up. So, we're right here. I just need council direction again. So we can maintain the current model, accept staffing strain. We can enforce limits aggressively and increase calls and reduce capacity elsewhere. And this is not just this is the services that come after that roll cart where people get frustrated with. My brush has been out here for 5 months. Nobody's brush has not been picked up in 5 months. I can tell you that. I can track that truck, know exactly where it goes. Or C, we look at, a structured approach. We enforce clear service limits and invest the right support equipment so special routes can be completed reliably. The biggest thing is just getting folks to understand if you have abnormal, excessive loads for us to pick up, it's not free. You have to come pay for that service. So with the right model, enforceable standards, we improve safety, consistency, route reliability, and this reduces staffing strain, helps reduce long-term equipment damage and overtime pressure. And we wrap it up with the key message. It's like everything else I'm dealing with. We can meet your expectations. I just want to determine what the priorities are with our current capacity. I know you guys, like me, you get inundated with calls. This is not picked up. Why are they skipping this or that? And every little call takes you probably got 10 or 15 minutes invested in it, and then a follow-up with staff, or you're following up with me or Steve or Amber, so it's time. And by the end of the day, you probably hadn't got other things done that were the priority, just over dealing with somebody who says their brush didn't get picked up, or their bolt wasn't picked up. And I can give you a time and date when the truck was there at their specific residence with this GPS insight, which is great for that. So that's it. Any questions or concerns?
Thank you. I just more of a comment. I've lived in a lot of places, like many people in council, and I've lived in places where if your trash lid is open this much, they refuse to take your trash. And I don't want to say I feel like our citizens are given the benefit of the doubt, but I definitely think they do. And after hearing your presentation, I think, I don't know if it's education that we need to do. I don't know if we need to just have consequences for, that sounds like, but if your trash lid is open, your container's not, is overflowing and there's additional charge. I don't know the answer, but I do know this is a consistent problem. Maybe we do need to, I don't know, I guess quit enabling it, or I'm a teacher, so but anyway, but that was interesting. Thank you, Barbara.
Again, I'm gonna reiterate what you said about education, because I think that's key. There are things on here, like I do 6 feet, but I had went out my yard and pulled up a bush and put the whole thing on there. Did not know you couldn't do that. But here's the other thing. Ever since we moved here 20 years ago, we were told firsthand, you need to call sanitation for large appliances, the sofa, the mattresses, and let them know. But apparently people aren't doing this.
No, and just my thoughts. I think for the longest time we had such a smaller footprint as far as a town, and we were able to accommodate folks where it was like, hey, we can do it. We don't have a lot going on right now. Let's just go get it. And unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, we're growing, which is not a bad thing. I don't want anybody to misunderstand that. Growth pays for all this stuff that we get, and I'm thankful for it. But the byproducts of our growth is some of these services that we were able to do years ago because we were a smaller footprint. We just can't do it anymore. We don't have the staffing or the ability to do it.
I think that what you need to do is sit down with Lindsay or whoever you need to sit down with. And we need to, here's with the communication, I guess we can work on this on our team, but I think it is time for us to send an update. What was given to me 20 years ago is not going to be something that is going to work now. The other thing is the leaf pickup.
Yes, ma'am.
So we don't bag leaves.
You can.
Okay.
If you bag leaves, we will pick it up. I won't pick it up with a leaf bag. I'll pick it up with a sanitation truck, but we will pick it up. And I've had to reiterate that with my guys a few times. So there's fault on both sides there. Same with leaf trim or grass clippings. I've had to tell them, you go back out and you pick it up. So that it's not totally on our citizens all the time.
No, it's not, but the majority of this, what I'm seeing is really a problem, so to say, is that there's citizens not knowing what we're supposed to be doing and what we're supposed to not be doing. So there we go. And as far as $150 fee pickup, there's a town that you rent the truck and they can come and pick it up, and it's $150 to rent that truck to put all your stuff in. So that's a reasonable fee.
I thought so too.
Well, you have my approval now, so.
Jay and Dave, thanks for all the time you put into this. A couple questions. What's it look like for fees for 2027? We're looking at increasing fees in any areas?
That I don't know.
The main impact will be what y'all decide to do with bulk, decide to do with commercial containers to recycle. If you get rid of commercial containers, you're good about $50,000 to $60,000 revenue out of your budget. And so there will have to be a discussion on whether you want to absorb that into your tax millage or whether you want to go up on sanitation fees. And then just your general thing, do you want to go up on your roll cart fees? We haven't gone up in a while. I mean, we can call around some other municipalities and see what they're at. We all kind of track each other throughout the course of a couple of years. All the other fees, we ask the department heads all the time to tell us, like, what's your biggest request? What do you spend the most time on? We have all kind of fees that people don't realize we have. And we kind of do the same thing. We look at what some other cities have in Georgia. Last year, one of the things I think we spent some time on was all the FOIA stuff. And I'm gonna tell you that FOIA, we're at
46.
We're at 46 FOIA requests this year already. And
As in this calendar year?
this
No, I
calendar.
think
No,
that's it. We put it in place. I have the calendar year in our presentation.
Yeah, and that's taking a lot of time. We may have to, you're probably looking at 8 hours of FOIA requests, the time being taken up. So we try to look at that a week.
At a minimum.
So we try to look at that, and then when you adopt your budget, you adopt the whole fee schedule behind it. That deals with like copies and permits and tabs and, the extra bulk pickups and things on that nature. And then, whatever comes out of the tax model study, you're already in the rate increase for your water sewer for another, I believe it's 3 years on top of my head.
So if we do a rate increase on the roll carts, that money specifically goes to public works sanitation.
When you take in revenue, if you're just looking at general fund, when you take in revenue, when you look at the first page of your general fund budget, you see all the revenues. So because they're not to a certain point, we don't have to actually allocate out the revenues each specific function. However, at some point, we will have to break sanitation out into its own fund. And you generally have to start doing that when it hits 5% of it. And it is real close, if not at 5%. And so it may be a very real thing that we have to break sanitation out into its own fund. So I think going back to answering Nancy's question about why you just don't drop everybody in there, because we actually have to track and we report to the state certain things and to our workers' comp and everything else, which is why we try to keep them separated as possible, because it does affect some other rates. But it's a very real idea that you may have a Fund 13 and it be sanitation. And the sanitation have its own fee going in there and then have a transfer from general fund to offset the rest of it.
Well, the reason I ask is because, I would feel that if my roll cart fee increased, that I'm gonna assume it increased because sanitation needed, things have changed, of course, all of this, expenses on everything. I would just think, okay, that's because of that. I wouldn't look at it as any other way that the money was going anywhere else. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, so just some history on it. Sanitation, when the town had to eliminate a lot of different services, they eliminated police, and they eliminated several other things. Sanitation is like the last surviving service. So when you talk about why our service level for sanitation is so high, it really comes out of that because councils like we've got to show that the citizens are getting something and they want their sanitation services to be as high as we provide at the time. now you're kind of getting to a place where some of it, like the commercial side of it, we probably really needs to go. Recycling is just not
Right, it's
what
not
it's,
sustainable.
well, it's just not sustainable because it's just an extra trash can. And then now you're really deciding on, is this the service level that we're at? And if so, then that's what you gotta do. But there's other things that obviously this current council, like, such as Jay said it, it's one thing I probably said to many of y'all, we struggle with what the expectation of us is for building grounds. Because there's 4,000 expectations of what the rink should look like. And it's real hard to put those expectations into actionable words when we go to employees.
But I also think that people don't realize that what the green should look like, and that's why I asked Jay, he needs to tell us what he feels it needs to look like. They don't understand that it's just not a space that's green with some swings on it and some benches. There's more to it. There's more, they don't see underneath that grass, you know, like, oh, well, just might cut the grass. Well, that's not all that needs to be done. And the whole maintenance of the area is a lot that it encompasses, and that's why I felt that Jay should say, hey, this is what we need, and this is what it should look like. Aesthetics is one thing, but the aesthetics is not what is going to really be what we need to know. We need to know what is going to be needed infrastructure-wise, what's under that ground, you know, what can, and because until we know that, we really don't know what we can do. So.
Barbara, you finished?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, no, just somebody else wanted to go, had a question, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
So, so now we're on sanitation.
Yes, ma'am.
And, we talked about, we did not talk about the bulk loading that we talked about at the public hearing, the commercial bulk loaders. I mean, I didn't see it in the presentation. I got late. I wasn't paying attention, so
It's just standard part of the
So-
sanitation itself.
okay,
'Cause I
so-
run 2 trucks. Obviously, the side loader can't do it. So
Correct.
the other truck that's running like
the
today's
standard,
route, he would pick up every dumpster.
so we call her Old Betsy in our neighborhood, but the back one.
Yes, ma'am.
And those are, the commercial dumpsters as well as the roll carts.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to, touch a little bit about that. So we get, you estimated at the public hearing, we get $55,000 approximately
Mhm.
from businesses that pay for that.
Yes, ma'am.
And we've talked about, Lynn and I, we've done some interviews with some businesses that have those loaders, those containers. And this is something for us to explore. I'm not asking you to do it today,
Sure.
but to look at possibly contracting for that service, where that contract would come through the town in some way so that we could control the time of pickup, where they're placed and how many there are. And then if we had to subsidize that, it would be a benefit to being a business in Pendleton that you would get some subsidized service.
Mhm.
And then for the people that dump the, empty their, like you and I saw on Thompson Street the other day, I think I was with you. Who was I with? No, I was with Steve. But they just emptied their house on Thompson Street. If we had a contractor that we had hired, they could also go do that as part of our agreement with them, perhaps. I mean, it's something to think, I'm trying to think of creative
No,
ways for us to cut our costs, still deliver that service to the customer, but not overburden. Your folks are obviously overburdened. The job is obviously overwhelming. So I'm trying to think of ways to ease that burden. If we had a
Right.
contractor that did the commercial dumpsters and was also available for us for the bulk services, it sounds like that might be an ease to your folks.
It would. Now, the one thing that I didn't mention that would probably need to take into consideration, if we go with, say, a private company for the dumpsters, the bulk containers, they're not going to have the setup like we do. They're going to have that front loader. So
They would have to provide, that would be part of the deal, Jay. They would have to provide,
Okay.
they would have to provide the dumpster, and then the
Okay.
the dumpsters we would have would probably just have to go to scrap. I don't think you can reuse them. I think they're done. So
that's fine.
So that's just part of the deal.
That's fine. I didn't know if that would be
No,
something the town
no.
would have to absorb or,
We'd figure that out.
okay.
We can figure that out. On the recycling, I know we're all willing to say, well, forget recycling. Well, I've had a number of citizens approach me
Mhm.
that have expertise in establishing and maintaining recycling programs. I would like us as part of this process, and I don't know if this is where we do it or not. Is this where we do that? ask somebody to look into this.
I mean, this is, so the budget, Nancy, is like your largest policy setting of the year. So if you want us to look into like recycling, this is where it starts coming out. Because maybe we do have to budget something in order to do that. Maybe we tell you we can do it in-house and it's something we'll report back to the solid financial impact.
So we've identified several people that are willing to, citizens that are willing to come forward and meet with y'all, I'm not sure about the mechanics of how this would work, and I don't know if this is the time to do it, but they would like to explore with you what it would cost to break even on recycling, and then what it would cost, how could we identify how many households are actively doing bin recycling and not recycling trash, but I could walk around my neighborhood and tell you who's doing it for trash and who's doing it for recycling, right? And these people will generally self-select. And so is there a way that we could find a way to make the curbside recycling work with some education and working with these citizens that have that expertise? I don't have that expertise, but
Yeah.
people that have that expertise have contacted me, and I would suggest that we, if you're willing, if we could do that, that'd be great.
I mean, I'll tell you one of the ways that a lot of places have done it is they actually charge a recycling fee. And like you said, they self-select. So there's another version of a truck we can buy that's on like a ton chassis.
Right.
Those trucks are less than $100,000 and it just needs one person.
And they're also easier to operate, and they can be used for other things, and you can do it with a sticker system on the existing blue bin. So I self-selected, I get the bright blue and silver branded sticker. So I'm not an expert on that. You guys have experience, but I would like us to, if it's okay to suggest that we do that.
I'll put it up there right up there for us, so we got it. It'll go, it'll be kept within the budget documents as we go forward.
Okay, thank you. The other question I had was on the leaf pickup. Did Sarah put it down? So the question is, we currently have the snuffleupagus.
Yep.
Very entertaining vehicle. Have we looked at the balancing the cost of putting leaves in a clear plastic bag? Is it, are we doing it with this snuffleupagus because that's easier for us to offload it?
No, we have citizens that do both. Some folks will bag it. Now, the disposal where it comes into play, if we take it to Star, we have to tear open every bag and dump it out. They won't take the plastic.
Okay.
Otherwise, it goes in the back of the sanitation truck and just gets compacted with trash. But we'll pick it up either way.
So the issue with bagging the leaves is that if they go to the landfill essentially, if they're bagged. And do leaves, that's never.
And they should go to
landfill.
Star. In all reality, they should go to Star, but they have to come out of the bags.
So that's not,
They won't
so that's
take
not
them.
really an option then. And then, so we talk about adding one additional sanitation.
Mhm.
I'm fine with that. But people are gonna ask me, hey, I thought we went to the side loader, which is a very entertaining truck as well. We had a lot of good enjoyment in our neighborhood of that truck.
No
But-
comment.
It's a slow moving neighborhood. So we're getting 3 people, reducing it to 1, and yet we're adding 1 to sanitation.
Mhm.
But if we had this contracted bulk loading, and that could also help us with the commercial,
Right.
was that a way to not add an FTE, or would we still need the FTE?
No, because you're still looking at bulk services, leaf route, and
No, but if the
brush.
bulk, so it's the leaf route and the brush.
Mhm. And those are 2 separate trucks that would have to run with 2 separate employees on each one.
So leaf and brush is 4 employees.
Mhm.
And then the side loading, if you have 1 side loading sanitation, that's 1, presumably. Eventually they'll get to those 1.
Eventually, yes.
And then Old Betsy's 3.
And then we've got the
So that's
bulk
8
pickup as
employees
well.
but if we contract it out for the bulk.
I understand
I
that.
think you're talking about contracting out for the large things. He's talking about picking up the bulk, like
We're talking-
mattresses, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Well, I'm thinking if we can get into a contract where somebody does our commercial, we should just call it something different. The commercial dumpsters. If we contracted that out, could the same person that did that also, if we identified where there were issues, could that firm also pick up the curbside,
I think that would be extremely difficult because it's not gonna be a consistent thing.
okay. So just to possibly, I'm just trying to look at things to make
No.
less stress for, it seems like a very stressful process. I'm trying to figure out a way to, but you're right.
No, and I get what you say, but unfortunately, right now, I don't have that option, so I have to look at what.
I understand. I'm
currently-
just looking down the road of what we
Yeah.
can do to make, so we would, so the total number we would need, so if we invested $500,000 in another side loading dump truck or sanitation truck,
Mhm.
that would free up 2 more people.
Yes.
And then we would still need an FTE in addition to that? Or is it a truck? Is it a truck? Or is
Yes,
it, or is
because-
it one person? Or
Yeah.
is it a truck and not one person?
One more time. I'm
If we
sorry.
buy the side loading truck, do we still
ma'am.
need the additional one person?
Yes, ma'am. Because there's still other services that instead of waiting until the sanitation route's done, they'll start.
So you're down one person in sanitation no matter how many trucks we get. We're just
Mhm.
down one person.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that it?
Yep.
So last year we talked about as an objective for sanitation to decrease the muddled funding. I don't remember that conversation. What was that about? And did we decrease the muddled funding?
So, that, I don't think it came from anybody sitting on the council right now.
Okay.
The funding, honestly, the funding is fairly straightforward. You get about $300,000 to $400,000 in road park fees, and all the rest of it's made up in property tax. So that's all, that's not just our case, that's the case for most cities around here. Sanitation is supported by AP and property tax. The difference is right now, it's not big enough, we house it in general fund. If you broke it out, maybe you'd see it a little bit clearer, but it's still a $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 cost to operate.
So 2020 census said we had 3,489 residents in this town. If we add Morton Farm, the TIF, the oil mill, Sunset, Belvedere 2, Champions Village, Meehan Falls is kind of filling out, Piper Glen. So that's gonna be about 50% increase in our population from the 2020 census. So we'd be anywhere from 5,100 to 5,300. I don't know where you guys are thinking by 2032. So, I mean, with this increased, this isn't for you,
Yes,
but for
sir.
our whole town in regards to thinking about this, because when we do these budget things, we're kind of talking about in a year,
Yes, sir.
what you need for next year and that year. But the reality is we got a 50% increase in our population in a 10-year period, right in the middle of it. So, are we thinking that way on these different issues? I mean, for
We are.
instance, when you go into these newer developments, is there less pickup, less, I mean, is there a difference between Pruitt Street and Dalton Road?
There is currently, yes, you're correct. The newer neighborhoods coming online, we're not going to see the brush or the leaf amounts that we see in what I call the older part of Pendleton. But it is coming, like you said. And we also have got to look at Friday being another trash route and put it into effect. I don't think once all these neighborhoods come online that we're going to be able to compress them in a Monday through Thursday model like we're currently doing. I cannot see it working to where we can get everybody taken care of and get those trucks emptied for the next day. And unfortunately, we're just going to have to open up Friday for another route just so we can wait as well, just to maintain the weight. Now, if we do go away from dumpsters that would definitely help with weight. And the only way I track or the way I track that is the slips that come back from the landfill. So I can actually see how much each of those trucks are hauling daily. And we have cut our numbers almost in half, which has been absolutely great because we were probably 3 times heavier than what we should have been on some days to be on the roads legally.
So I don't know what it does to the tree.
So I don't know if it was Robbie or Steve or somebody that's in a conversation with the police department about growth, and they said that there's a certain point where what your staffing requirements are and your population can grow and you kind of plateau and you level off and you don't really need to, even though the population might be increasing a bit, you
Yeah.
don't really need to increase. Was that you telling me that, Steve?
So when you look at police, like if y'all went 24 hours with 13 officers, I mean, you can probably conceivably get 7, 8, 9,000 people. And the only thing that you may have had in that time might be a detective or whatever else that council felt was like a specific patrol objective. When you get into sanitation, it does kind of flow with the cans, but we also, as y'all said earlier, we offer a high level of service that you don't necessarily get at other things. So sanitation is like your gold standard of the service you're going to offer. That is going to grow with your population. But if you're going to run at a basic level of service or maybe a little bit enhanced level of service, administration, if we add 1 or 2 more people in, we're probably good at 10,000 people at that point between technology and everything else. So you're not looking at having to backfill unless it's just something specific the council wants to do.
So economies of scale.
It's economies of scale. Same thing with street departments. The street department, we would buy bigger equipment that allowed them to maintain especially the road mowings faster. But maybe we get 8,000 people, he only has to go from 4 to 5. So it's just your economies of scale. And then when your tipping point seems to be, talking to other people, seems to be in that 8,000 to 10,000 population. And then they're preparing to go to 15, 16, 17,000. So they're in a growth period at that point.
Jared, can
Yes,
you
ma'am.
go over the weight and how, so we're sending the same amount of the same weight, but we're sending it in 2 trucks, am I hearing you correctly?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, and the county determines the weight?
The state does. So it's based on vehicle weight, and then it also is based on how many axles that truck has. So like our recycle truck is a single axle, rear axle truck. It can only hold, I think it's 36,000 pounds total. And the truck, it may weigh 28,000 pounds. So now we're looking at, the 8,000 pounds total that we can actually legally put on that truck. You get to a dual tandem, like our trash trucks, they're dual axle. So you go up to 48,000 pounds, I believe it is. To hit 66, now you got to look at a drop axle added into it for 3. So we're kind of limited on our weight depending on how big the truck is, how much it weighs, and how many axles it has.
So how many trucks are they sending with less than capacity, but maximum weight? Do you know?
The two trash trucks currently are still a hair over, but they are in an acceptable range, if you will. The recycle truck will never hit its full capacity on weight. It drops off anywhere between 1 to 1.9
And
tons.
hitting that weight,
Yes,
is the
ma'am.
trash, is the space at capacity? Are we having to send half empty or 2/3 full trucks?
No.
To manage the weight? Does that make sense?
Yes, I see what you're saying. No, currently we're packing them because it's hard to tell. You don't know the weight when we're out there. Honestly, the only way is we look at the back tires and see if they start sinking, then we know we got too much weight. And that's what highway patrol will look for too. They'll stop them if they see those tires kind of mushroomed out.
Isn't there a way to weigh a truck by just driving the one wheel on one scale? Doesn't Nick run around with something like that? How much do those cost?
I don't know. They can't be that expensive because every DOT.
Trucks are out there.
Every one of the cars.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know them. Probably $2,000.
I mean, I don't know if it's worthwhile, do you think?
You know, I don't know how big a fine or how can we get caught or those.
Well-
If it helps you kick that out.
And it's
It would
not
help
that,
you, I think it's worth getting, but if it doesn't help you, I don't
yeah,
know.
well, the town doesn't get fined. It's the driver. So the drivers are at risk of getting fined or losing CDLs.
I hear you say they can lose their license.
Yeah.
GDL license,
Yeah,
reputation.
they eat all the penalties personally. So the town, I could put 20 tons on a truck and limp it there. And if they get pulled over, I'm like, well, Willie, I hope you can talk them down on your fine when you go to court, buddy. Good luck. It don't, but have you?
We paid it.
Really? You don't have to. Usually it's on the driver.
We've never let them in the past. If it's something we're not doing, we never let our drivers in.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right.
But it still impacts their license.
They don't take that as I'm saying that's what the town's done. That's just,
Well, no, you also don't want to, go stop in Anderson and do it around.
right. Yeah.
And the cost on bulk and all that, y'all have that, I've never seen this numbers.
You mean, just for the now, commercial things?
Not the commercial things, but
The mattresses on.
Mattresses.
So we don't get, we don't pay tipping fees down there. So I mean, we can tell you what it costs for us to run a truck, but there is no tipping fee associated on the.
No, but,
I'm asking what we're charging the citizens.
and how much of them pay, how many of them pay?
Yes, if it's,
It's 150.
it's 150 if it's outside. If it's like a mattress and two other things, it's picked up on what they already.
Yeah. It has to be excessive.
It has to be excessive.
Okay, I know that in Anderson, they have a problem and because all of the, people who are renting properties, we go and just dump all the stuff out. Is that one of the, when you say the whole household, are renters being cleared out and is it, I think they added a different fee for
Evictions.
evictions than they did for a citizen maybe cleaning out a room or two.
We can find out.
I thought there was a fee with that.
Oh, but it was a really big problem in Anderson trouble in city of
Can
Anderson.
you write it up this one?
Um,
So I got it all.
Under
But that was an eviction. That was landlords going in.
Oh, landlord
Yeah, that's a
fee.
whole different.
So it was a different fee because the person's making money off of that piece of property.
Yeah. But still, if you know that you're gonna have a whole lot of stuff that needs to be picked up, and then citizens still pay 150, but they pay 150. At one time, they used to have the truck. You could rent the truck, and other towns still do. Had the truck rent for $150 for a weekend, they drop the truck, come pick it up, you put all your crap in there, and they take it off.
So we used to, when we had, the top kicks, or one caught on fire, we used to do that. Now, our trucks now, the only one that we would probably consider doing that in now is the 3,500. But you really need those top kicks, because they have a tall enough bed, if they throw something in, they're not throwing it to the camera. That's the biggest thing.
All right. That's all my questions. Anybody else?
Got anything right on the sheet for us? We can start tracking it.
Did you want to put the fees up there, Jeff? Should we put the fees up there?
Yep.
It says fees, charges, under sanitation.
Okay. Is that clear to you? That's good.
All right. You're done?
Good.
Dismissed.
All right.
That's all our presentations?
That's it.
That's it.
Wait, I have one question before we get off of that. So are we doing the buildings and grounds on another day?
Yes, ma'am.
Next week it is water and sewer, wastewater treatment plant, and community aid.
And that's Wednesday from noon to 4 again.
Yes. Yes.
And did Owen have his baby?
Owen is on his way to the hospital right now. I checked on him a little bit. He said they are ready, or at least she's ready.
Bet she is.
She just thinks she is.
Yeah.
I know, I feel her.
This phase.
I feel her. Hurry up, get him out.
All right, so I have a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? So good, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right.
Hey, Jay, on Cambridge, when they rolled in that water line, they left that road a mess.
We-
Shaylee said